All right, hi friends. Welcome back.
Hello. How are you?
Good. You can talk.
Hi. I don't know. I don't want to just jump in. No one knows my voice.
Pretend as if we're talking as friends.
Okay.
Like in that there is no mic.
Right.
You're just chilling. Okay.
Just jump right in and introduce yourself.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Janna. I'm 25. No, I'm 26. I'm almost 27. I'm not ready for my birthday. COVID's still a couple years, so I'm going with I'm 25 at the moment. But I known Shay for a couple years now because I've known her boyfriend Judah for like 8 years from first year university. We went to Guelph together where I studied English, and now I'm like an administrator, billing manager person at a company that no one would know about. So I work from home, which is really fun and nice because I have my dog, so it's really convenient.
Yeah, Sophie,
which I was catching up a podcast and I heard you guys mention Sophie when you guys talking about the Christmas party.
Yeah,
you're like, Janna has a dog, Sophie. I'm like, yeah, Sophie, you got a shout out.
Yeah, she's a cutie.
Yeah,
she's very energetic.
She's also a little butt because like I was telling you guys earlier about how she hurt herself. She hurt her hip because she was playing too hard in the snow, and she wasn't moving around at all. And I was very nervous. I was gonna I have to go take her to the vet, pay a couple $100, see what's wrong with her. Then I started like slightly nudging her, so I'm like, oh, you have to go outside. Like you got to go do your business. I slowly lift her up, whatever. As soon as she's off her bed, she's like moving around, jumping. I'm like, you have not moved in like 12 hours.
Yeah.
And like just trying to be treated like a princess.
Yeah.
And no, she was faking it.
Dogs will do that sometimes. Has Steve ever faked it with us?
I don't think so. I think she tends to pull the like I want attention card, or she'll whine a lot.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to begging for food.
Yeah. I think she's gotten better with the begging for food a little bit because we like don't really tolerate it. But occasionally like we'll just be sitting on the couch. She's already been out. She's already been fed. And then she'll just like sit in front of the screen and cry. Yeah. And we're just like, why are you crying? And it's really just she wants attention at that point. So, yeah. Dogs are really like having a kid. Yeah. I've said that before and I'll say it again.
I've said that before.
So, Janna, also, you can, like, chill. Like, you can, like, sit back, relax.
I'm pretty comfortable here. Like, I'll probably relax a bit more. But I'm, like, at the moment, I'm pretty chill.
Annie, like, turns that, like, to the side, kind of like I have it, so that she can, like, sit and face as well. So, yeah. You don't have to
I guess this is kind of more comfortable. Yeah. I was actually I thought I was comfortable, but I wasn't until like clearly because I'm like, oh,
I just was like, you're sitting forward like this, like
but I was just like, I like sitting like I sit like that sometimes, but no, this is so much better. So never mind.
Yeah, Annie's like becomes the couch.
On the couch, it's just so much more comfy.
Yeah. All right. So as you know, we have Janna here. She just did a nice little introduction. Because today we are doing
dating stories.
Yep. Dating stories. And as somebody who's never really been on a date, figured that I couldn't bring much to the table with this one. Even your dates.
Even my dates, not a lot of them are very, like, crazy. I've only had a few, and I'm not going to mention my ex, because
he listens to the pod.
He listens to the pod, and I don't want to ream out his shit.
He's a very nice guy.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah.
But
I'm
not going to talk about him.
Yeah. There's a level of privacy we have. There's not much privacy on this podcast, but there's a certain level.
Yeah, and I had the most dates with him.
Yeah.
And they were all fine.
So we brought Janna on because Janna has a very exciting dating life. Especially in comparison.
Yeah, I'm like, I didn't realize that it was so much different than like I didn't expect no one to have as many stories. But yeah, no, it's because in 2019 I was like, you know what? I like came out of like a weird thing and I was like, I'm gonna try dating because I never really dated around. I was just kind of ended up like I was like, well, it was like the thing with.
Oh, okay.
I don't want to say his name, but And so I was
We'll
like,
block out his name.
yeah.
But any names that you choose.
I mean, most of the names, I'm not going to say that. I have the nicknames. I have nicknames
Yeah.
for everyone.
Yeah.
So they'll be just referred to by their nickname. But yeah, I was like, you know what? I've never really tried dating. I kept just ending up in like weird not weird situationships. And so I'm like, okay, I'll just go. My thing was I was going to be like, unless there's a good reason for me to say no, I'm going to say yes, because I just want to put myself out there. I just want to try. Like, I don't want to like stop myself. Yeah, it was good, and it resulted in me having a lot of fun stories to tell people. When I worked at Indigo, it was like half my job was just me telling various stories to different people.
Yeah.
A lot of people know my business from Indigo.
Just dating story.
Just dating. Yeah. Not. Well, yeah. For the most part.
It's okay. I'm an oversharer, so
yeah.
Everybody knows my business about everything. So. Yeah. All right. Well, should we start off with like a question and kind of warm the waters a little bit? Do you want to do that?
All right. Depends on the question.
Well, I guess we're about to find out. Some I might make up as I go along. Okay. What is a red flag on a first date? We kind of answered this recently on a TMI or would that be out by this point? No, I think it's coming after. So we do talk about this afterwards, but what would you say is a top red flag?
Well, one is like if the person's just like a bit too intense, like they're just like really like already talking about the future. They're going for it. They're like, oh, let's do this. Let's plan something months from now, which I actually have a story about someone like that. His name's Intense Guy. That's his nickname. So also if they just like a potential red flag with someone that I actually ended up seeing a bit longer, like hanging out with for a bit longer, so it wasn't a big deal. But like also if they just like go for things, like they just like immediately like we're doing this, or like they just like go in for the kiss without like hesitation, like or like they're just like, or he immediately came in with a hug, and this was still during COVID times, and I'm like, I get we're going on a date and like we're gonna be in a bit of proximity, but like can we just not? So that was ended up not, because there's like other things, like it wasn't a big deal, like I'm just kept that in mind. But like if stuff like that persisted where he just like was continuously like just doing things without really considering like my thought or anything, then it was just kind of like, okay, then that's not gonna work out. Like I'm like okay with being taken charge, like if you want to take charge in other ways, that's like whatever, but just like still need
especially when you first meet.
It's just like because we got up from like getting drinks, and then we were walking, and he like grabbed my face and kissed me. I'm like, oh okay. And then there's just like a couple of things.
God,
it depends on the situation. It was just, again, COVID, so like it was just like questionable, but then we ended up making out for a while after that, so I became okay with it. But
that's one of my red flags as well, like being too intense. But also I think I consider maybe it's too much. Like you wouldn't think it's too intense
with what,
like with anything, like the lovey-dovey stuff. Like when someone said to me I love you at 3 months, I was like, who? And for me that was too much. That's too intense. So then I dipped.
Yeah, I mean, okay, like with my first relationship, we said I love you at 3 months, but like, I feel like it's different because we were young. Yeah. I feel like time is different when you're young versus when you're older, like, and then like, I don't know, like, that doesn't really bother, like the timing doesn't bother me, because if I'm feeling it in the moment and I say those things, it doesn't matter. If it's like a week or two into the relationship and you say I love you, I'm like, no, you don't. That's a lot. Like you don't, you just lust me. Like that's like, to me it's not love at that point. Like it does take a bit of time for love to develop. I think initially it is a lust situation. But like with my first relationship, we said it 3 months in, but I didn't say it when he said it back initially. Even though I was going to say it, I had a card written with it in the card. So when he said it just took me aback. So I was just like, no, like I have a card. Like I was very, also at the time I was very like, things need to be a certain way.
Yeah.
Like, so with Judah, it was like 6 months in before we said it. Like there had been times when we would like say goodbye and I would be like, bye, I love you, like as like I wouldn't even realize I was saying it. But thankfully he never caught those times because I was like, oh, and he'd be like, what? And I was like, no, like nothing, bye. Like,
Well, that's how my ex said it for the first time, was accidentally.
yeah.
He just was like, okay, bye, I love ya. And I was like,
Yeah.
what? I was, it was really cute. And I ended up saying it like 2 days later.
Yeah.
I was waiting to do it in a card. I was going to do a card because it was coming up to Christmas. So I was like, you know
Yeah.
what? Maybe I'll do like a cute card. Then we went out for like drinks and not drinks. We went out for dinner and then Starbucks, which is where we had our first date. And then
Aw.
it was like just a lot of cute moments. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to say it now.
Yeah.
And then we said it was cute. And it was like in the parking lot where we had our first date. And then so it was just like kind of ended up being perfect.
Yeah. I feel like when you feel it, like
Say it.
say
Yeah.
it. But like I understand like I definitely was in love with Judah before
Yeah.
I said it. And I was so scared that he wasn't going to say it back. But
Yeah, I didn't say it back. I said thank you.
I've heard this story.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
How would you react if you said I love you and then somebody said thank you?
I think I'd be so anxious. I'd be kind of embarrassed.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
I didn't mean it that way because I really cared about him, but I also, that was too much for me. And
Yeah.
that was way too soon.
How soon was it?
It was 3 months. That's way too soon for me.
Yeah, that's fair. That's
For
fair.
me. And then he said, "Oh, I'm really in love with you." I'm like, "Oh, in love?"
Oh,
Oh, okay.
That's-
that's a bit far.
He went really in love. I'm like, "Oh, thank you." And he's like, "Do you not say it back?" I'm
it's
like,
hard in the moment to figure out what to say.
I felt like I was just a bit pressured into that moment, and then I asked him to leave
Oh.
because it was way too much and it got weird and it got awkward.
Yeah.
So like, you know what? You should probably go.
Oh.
Like as anxious as like I would be having somebody not say it back, I also don't think they should have to say it back. Like,
Yeah,
I
agreed.
do think, but just like me being me would be stressing about it.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that like if he had said it and didn't mean it, that's worse. Like that's a way worse.
That's why I took a day when my ex said it to me, because I was like,
Yeah.
I've never said it before, and he was very understandable. And I
Yeah.
was like, I just need a moment.
Yeah.
And it was chill. And it was so funny because when he said it, I just spent I called in sick to work that day because I didn't want to go home that night because I was staying at his place.
Oh yeah.
And so I was like, I'm just gonna call in sick so I can stay over. And but like during that time I was like, do I love him? And then I was like, literally, I was planning on going home and like thinking about it, and I was like, well, if I do, maybe I'll say it at like New Year's, because it was like coming up to New Year's and we were gonna be at the Airbnb or whatever. And I was like, well, maybe I'll do it then. But then if he said it, and I was like, I didn't even have a chance to have my thought process.
Yeah.
So I think I was just like, I was like, is it okay? I knew it was okay, but I was phrased as a question. I was like, is it okay if I don't say it back right now?
Yeah.
And he was like,
I should have
that's
said
okay.
that. I should have said that.
Well, now you know. Now you know how to respond.
I'm not great with handling emotions to begin with, so I should have done what you did and said, "Can I just pause on that?" Didn't.
I mean,
But-
in the moment, it's
Can we
hard.
put a
I mean, for
pin in
me,
that?
Can we put a
But
pin in that?
for me, I was excited. Like, I was so happy.
Yeah.
I was smiling. I called my mom afterwards.
Oh.
For you were freaked out. So it
I was-
makes sense.
I was freaked the fuck out. I'm like, oh no, because my fight or flight kicked in.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I have to flee. But like, I live here, so you have to flee.
You have to
I
go.
have to flee, but I live here, so go.
And then I didn't see him again.
I'm going back. I have another red flag.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Which is just like how they treat, like, the wait staff and
That's what
everything.
Shay said.
That's what you said. Okay,
Yeah,
yeah. Because
that's a
it's
huge
a
one.
huge indicator, and like just how they treat like customer service workers
Yeah.
and everything.
Yeah.
Because that's like a huge thing, and being like
Manners.
Yeah.
manners.
Or,
How they
like-
tip.
Yeah. Or like how they respond when somebody is disrespecting them or disrespecting like people around them.
Yeah.
I think is like a big thing, which I feel like when you're like at a rest, which is harder now because of everything going on, but like I feel like that's why like first dates, like you can see those things because you're in a setting where you're around other people where those situations could possibly come up. And like I mean, again, as somebody who's never been on a first date, I feel like those are good areas to figure those things out with people. Whereas like for me, both of the people I've dated have been friends first, so I've seen all that before we've even gotten to that stage. So I see all that beforehand. But like if you're just like getting to know somebody, I think that's why public dates are so good. I mean, also just safety wise, like in general. But yeah, like seeing how they react to multiple different people.
Yeah. Also, how good a listener they are. Like, are you repeating things? Sorry, I'm just going through like my like in my head. I'm like, oh, this guy did this. You'll be hearing the story later, but
you
I'm
like pick them from each person that you
it's like the reason this was bad was because he was not a good listener.
Yeah.
Also, like, how were they late to the date? Like, did they have a good reason?
God, yeah. If you're like even 10 minutes late, I get really annoyed.
Yeah.
Unless you're like you're running late like for a real reason, but like you just leave earlier.
Yeah.
If you know there's gonna be traffic. I'm very big on tardiness. Like hugely.
That's a big red flag for him.
But that could just be my ADHD and I get irritated with that. So then I try not to put that onto other people.
Yeah, but like I think in general, like most people would say that if somebody's late to a date, like you're gonna think, oh, do you really want to be here?
Yeah, but 10 minutes, like I get really
10 minutes isn't that bad.
Yeah.
10 minutes isn't that bad. But yeah, like if somebody is half an hour late to my date, I'm not staying for that date.
Oh no, I'm leaving.
Oh,
You'll hear the story.
Oh my god. Wait, tell the story now.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so this guy's name is Paper Straw Guy. He actually got 2 dates. I know. It was, I don't remember we had met on like Tinder, I think, and I guess we were on Snapchat. Like we had had each other on Snapchat. This was again 2019. All these stories, summer 2019.
Oh, she was out.
Quite the summer. Hot girl summer for Janna.
It was the summer I tried dating. And so, yeah, so I guess we were talking about on Snapchat for a bit, and then he was like, we should meet up. I didn't realize until he mentioned on the date, he's like, yeah, we've been talking for like a month or so. I'm like, have we? Because I was also talking to other people, and like, I guess we were, but like, not regularly. But I guess if I was the only person he was talking to, it probably seemed more to him. But for me, I'm like, we've been like, I guess on Snapchat for about a month, whatever. But anyways, so we were planning a date. I lived in Burlington. He lives at Etobicoke. So we were going to meet somewhere in the middle. So somewhere in Mississauga called Port Credit. And so we planned the date, and I was actually a bit behind myself. I was going to make it, but like, I was like, oh, I wish I had a little more extra time, just because parking in Port Credit, especially on the weekend, is insane. It gives me so much anxiety. So I was like, I was late for parking reasons, not for the date. Like I was like, I want extra time for parking. But on the way there, he messaged being like, hey, is it okay if I think it was probably gonna be like 1:30, because I had said, let's meet for like, you want to do like a lunchtime thing, like you want to go meet around lunchtime? He was like, yeah, let's do that. So I think it was like 1:30, and then it was 1 and got pushed to 1:30. And so I got there. I stopped at Shoppers on the way because I had already left the house. I'm like, well, I'm not going to be very early. So I got some nail polish that I needed, whatever. I parked outside in Port Credit. It was a very hot day. Got a spot pretty decently. And then he's messaging me being like, hey, I'm sorry, I'm going to be like even later. I ended up doing my nails in the car.
You had enough time to do a whole set in your car?
Yeah, I did my nails in the car. He was late. I think he was stuck in traffic, and so I think I was giving him a bit of the benefit of the doubt because I know how bad traffic can be. But at the same time, like, this is not great. But eventually he was like getting closer, so I went inside the place, which was like a cool little like pool hall, like what is it, like just like a bar, like typical bar food area with some pool tables.
What time of day?
Like lunchtime. So probably around 2 at this point. Okay. But so I got us a table. He comes in, we meet up. He's as attractive as this photo. So I'm like, hello. The waitress comes over and asks if we want drinks. And she's like, do you guys want a food menu as well? He says no. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I know I said lunchtime and not lunch, but like I figured it was implied we were doing lunch, but I guess we're just doing drinks. So like, okay. So I just sat in my car for so long. It's so late. I'm not even getting food. I was already planning on meeting up with one of my friends because I was this was my old neighborhood. So I was like, want to meet up after the date. So I just text her being like, can we get food as well? Because I'm going to be hungry.
I would have been like,
I would have still got the menu.
Yeah.
I was just like,
I was like, anxious. Yeah, no, I'm starving because you were an hour late. Like, I'm getting food.
Yeah, I don't know. I should have, but I was just like, I didn't want to deal with awkwardly eating and him just watching me eat. And like, if we're going to play some pool, I'm like, whatever. So we started having the conversation. Like, we started talking a bit. It was a bit awkward, but like, as a first date is. And like, we were trying to find topics and whatever. But like, anytime there's a quiet moment, he would put it on me and be like, so you're kind of quiet. I'm like, I guess, yeah. Ew. But I'm also like, you aren't saying anything either. Like, what? Even at one point, I don't know if it was this date or the second date, talked about how like he was kind of a quiet person outside of, like, he could be like really out there with like his friends, but sometimes he'd be quiet. So I'm like, then why are you calling me out? This is just making it so much worse. Yeah, like, it's making it so much more awkward. But I was like, whatever, it's gonna be an awkward first date, and it's fine. And then we started playing pool, and that was fun, and like the rest of the date was kind of fun, but it was just like he was late, there was no food, and then he kept making a comment about me being too quiet or being like awkward. I'm like, but I agreed to a second date. So we were gonna go see, so my second date was actually, I had 2 dates on the same day.
Did you?
I did.
Good for you.
I did. But they're all over the place. I did not plan well. I fucking worked. I live in Burlington. I worked in Square One, and then my first date was in Dundas, Ontario, and then my second date was in Etobicoke.
Wait.
So I was
Dundas, Ontario.
It's like Hamilton-ish area. Ancaster.
She's going all over
I screwed up. I did not, because when I first was making that date, I was like, oh, Dundas makes sense because it was in the middle there, but I wasn't taking account that I was going to be working that morning. So I'm like, I'm so dumb because I'm going to be coming from Burlington to Mississauga to Dundas to Etobicoke.
My god.
But anyway, so the Etobicoke date we were going to was with Paper Straw Guy, which that his nickname's gonna come into play during this date. Okay. So we were meeting at the movie theaters to go see Lion King. And he bought the tickets ahead of time. I was worried because he didn't get like IMAX 3D or whatever, which is fine, but I thought that meant like there weren't gonna be seats, and it was like when it first came out, because I thought you could only book seats for like IMAX. Luckily that was not the case, because he was a little bit late.
Again?
He wasn't. We got there for like the trailers still, but like he was late for when we said we were gonna meet there. And considering the traveling I did, I'm like, bro.
Wait, he was in Dundas.
No, Etobicoke. We were in Etobicoke. He lived, I can't remember where, in Toronto, but like not Etobicoke. So like it was still in the middle-ish for us. Okay. And so we went to the movie. He had never, I think he said he hadn't seen the original one.
Pardon?
Yeah.
What the heck?
So we watched it. He like, I can't remember. There felt like there was a couple comments, but like the one that I remember mainly is like at the end. You know how at the end when like they hold up like the new baby cub that Nala and Simba have, and he's like, he was like, who was that at the end? Like whose kid was that at the end that they're holding up? And I'm like, it was Simba and Nala's. I'm like, I don't understand. Like for me, like maybe I've seen the movies before, so like maybe it's just obvious to me, but I was like, this is a kids movie.
Everyone's seen The Lion King.
I was just like, I don't know how you didn't follow that, but also I'm not gonna like
just watch the fucking movie.
Yeah, so I'm like, I don't want to hate on this guy. I don't think he's like an idiot, but also I'm like,
but also, how did you not follow this kid's movie?
Yeah, but I was like, whatever. It could have been confusing because a lot of the characters, they look the same with the way they did the live actiony look with the new ones. So I'm like, maybe there's just some confusion there. Whatever, it is what it is. We agreed to go to Montana's, whatever, because in movie theater plazas is always a restaurant. Right?
yeah,
Like there's
yeah.
always like somewhere. I think it was Montana's we were going to.
We don't have that, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
Not
Well,
in Peterborough.
typically, okay. As we're walking there, I'm like telling him about like, I was talking about the weekend. I was like, yeah, I won't be able to stay out. I think I was saying I was going to be able to stay out too late that night. Yeah. Probably because I didn't want to, but also I was like, because I was going to a friend's like graduation party the next day, and I was talking about that for a bit. He was like, okay, yeah, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, so what are you doing this weekend? I'm like, I'm going to my friend's graduation party.
To repeat
yeah, he was like, said. He literally said, oh, sorry. He just said, I'm not the best listener sometimes. I'm like, oh, okay. Thanks for letting me know that.
Yeah.
And then we get to Montana's. I'm freaking exhausted because, you know, it's been a long day for me, which is partly my fault. But like the service is still at Montana's. We get there. We order drinks. He again is like, no food, thanks. I'm like, fuck
at
that.
Montana's?
Yeah,
Maybe
and
the
so
man just doesn't eat.
Well, he eats at weird times. He said something. I don't know what it was, but I was like, that makes no sense to me. But like, whatever. I'm ordering a wrap because I'm not doing this again. So I ordered food.
Wait, how long was this date?
It was a movie and then food. So
yeah, but when did you like? What time was the date at?
I want to say it was like 5.
Okay,
maybe.
So you show up after work.
After my first date.
Okay, did you eat at the first date?
No, it was coffee date.
So there you go. You have a mid-afternoon coffee date.
Yeah.
Then, and also I'm sure he probably thinks you're coming from work at a 5 p.m. date. Yeah. Like he doesn't know you've been on the other date.
No.
So this man literally thinks you're coming from work to this date, go see a movie, and now just isn't gonna eat?
Yeah. I don't really know.
The heck?
I don't know. I was like, I don't care. I'm ordering food. Also, it was I got the buffalo chicken wrap.
I get that all the time.
So good. Oh my God. I didn't
forever.
realize how much I liked it until I was like, okay, this is my go-to meal now.
Yeah.
And then we got drinks, and with the drinks, you know, paper straws.
Yeah.
Well, because he was anxious or whatever, like, or nervous, not anxious necessarily, but nervous. He'd fiddle with his straw, I'm assuming, or maybe he just likes fiddling with straw. So it was like breaking a little bit because, you know, if you fiddle with it, even with a plastic straw, if you fiddle with it enough, it's not gonna work.
Yeah.
And he complains a bit about that. She's like, because during a quiet moment, because again, there's like a couple awkward moments. He again puts it on me, being like, so you're a bit quiet. I'm like, yeah, but like, so are you? And I called him out. I'm like, I'm over this now.
At this point, yeah.
I'm like, okay, I need this to stop being a thing put on me because it's both of us are just awkward people. We should be on we should be on dates with extroverts here. Neither of us should be on a date with each other. Like, but so during one of the silences, he's like complaining about the straw, and he was like, I don't understand paper. He was like, what happens to paper when you put it in water? It like falls apart. So like, why is there a paper straw? And I'm like, oh, well, it's like, you know, it's specifically made for like drinks, and like it's better for the environment, and like, you know, the turtles. And I was just trying to like get through it. And he was like, yeah, but like falls apart. And here I am drinking out of my straw with zero issues. And this guy, like, anytime there's a quiet moment or anything, he'd bring it up. He'd complain about the straw. And I'm like, I'm so over this. I'm like, no one's come by the table. I need the check. I want to go. He also talked about, like, because, like, we had, like, some normal conversation. He was like, oh, like, he was, like, talking about wanting to go on a road trip. He's like, oh, maybe we can go, like, for, like, a road trip or drive somewhere sometime. And I'm like, yeah, maybe. This was the second day. So I'm like, still a bit much. That's a bit much for a second day conversation, planning a freaking road trip. I also was like, maybe one day, yeah. Because in my mind, I'm like, maybe I'll give him a third shot.
Oh, my.
I don't. But, like, anyways, it just gets so much. It's like so much awkward silences, so much being told I'm quiet / awkward, so much complaining about the paper straw. I'm like, again, as I drink perfectly fine out of mine, I'm like, I just need this to be over. So I called the person over. I paid for it. I'm like, I ordered food. Like, he paid for the drinks before, so like at the last date. So I'm like, I don't mind paying for this.
What? Really?
Yeah, he paid for the movie tickets.
Okay,
so it's like it was pretty fair. Like,
yeah.
He had one drink, I had a drink and food. He paid for previous drinks and the movie. So I'm like, I don't mind paying for things. I just also just want to to go.
Yeah.
And honestly, on the way out, I felt like this should have been the key that I was like, should not be thinking, even considering a third date. But I was like, please don't kiss me. Please don't kiss me. Please don't kiss me in my head. He did go in, but just like a quick peck, which was nice. I was worried he was gonna like go in
for it.
but he didn't, luckily. And then it was starting to rain, and so I was going to go in my car. He's like, do you want me to drive you to your car? I was like, no, it's okay, I'm just over there. He's like, are you sure? I was like, yeah, no, it's fine. He's like, oh, okay. And then he turns around, he's like, where's my car? And he starts pushing his like button trying to find his car, and I'm like, okay, good luck.
That's
like,
such
it's
an
like
ick.
starting to downpour, and I'm like, you were gonna drive me to my car, you don't even know where your car is.
Oh my god.
We did talk about maybe a third date, but then like a couple of days later, he was talking about like how he was at home like chilling and watching movies. He's like, you should come over and like watch a movie with me one time as well. I was like, and in my head I'm like, I don't want to do that. I'm like, oh, I do not want to do that. And so I sent him a text. That was nice. I was like, I don't remember exact wording, but you know, I'm usually pretty nice with my text, being like, I don't think it's gonna work, or like, or you know, I don't think now's the right time, or whatever it was. I let him down. He never responded or whatever, which is fine. It ended, but it was just like I was just like a lot. I'm like, why did he go on? I was like, why did I go on a second date?
Yeah, I wouldn't have at all.
So yeah, after that second date, I don't know why I considered a third one, but there was not another one.
But he was hot, you said.
He was pretty hot.
He
was pretty hot. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah. So that's, red flag was when he was not listening. Also, he was late.
Yeah.
And just blamed me for a lot of the silences.
Yeah, because like that's normal in dates to have awkward silence.
Yeah, and it doesn't help having it pointed out, being like, oh, you're quiet. It's like, yeah, well, now I'm even more quiet because I'm self-conscious. Thank you.
I also I just don't get like bringing it up all the time. And then like at some point, like, sir, you've brought it up how many times now? Like, we get it.
Also,
like,
one of the times it was like I had initiated the previous topic. Like, I had asked him a question. We started talking about that a little bit, and then there was an apt quiet, like a silence,
Yeah.
and then he said, "You're quiet." I'm like, I fucking initiated the last conversation. You have to put some effort into, please.
Yeah, I'm always talking, so I don't know.
Yeah, I can imagine you wouldn't have any issues. You'd be
No.
fine with dating. You would
I've
be
never had
okay.
somebody
Like,
be
if you
like-
went on dates, like if you actually did like dating, you would be a-okay.
Yeah, I think you'd be fine. Like, the speed dating, you get right
Yeah.
through it.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
next-
I would love to
next.
see you speed date. That'd be hilarious.
It'd be like a sport for her.
Yeah.
I'd be like, okay, age, sex, location. Okay, next question. Okay. I would bang those out like no tomorrow.
But the funny thing is, like, on the dates that I've been on, a lot of them have been with introverts. And then I have to act like an extrovert because I don't also like the awkward silence either, really.
Yeah.
So I have to pretend to be way more interested than I actually am.
If he didn't bring up, like, oh, so you're quite quiet, do you think the silence would have been awkward, or would it have just been fine until the next
I think
thing
it would have
came
been
up?
okay. We would have figured out. Like, I probably would have just come up with a question or something.
So it really just made it awkward.
It made it more awkward. Like, there's definitely a couple moments that were awkward.
Yeah.
Because it was just like, what the fuck do we say? But
Yeah.
also, it's like a first, like, that's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And I mean, sometimes it doesn't always. Like, I've had dates that it's like went very smoothly and it didn't feel awkward at all, which is great. But like a lot of time it is awkward. So, yeah, if he had just like not continuously told me I was quiet and awkward, it would have been a bit better. But still, there was other things that were just up. He was honest. I will say he was a very nice guy. It just was not working. Like, there was just too many things that like didn't work. Like, he needs to be someone who can carry the conversation, and who's okay with him not listening all the time, I guess,
And being late.
and being late. But like overall, he was like a nice person. Like, he wasn't like a jerk or anything. It was just like awkward and slightly annoying.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wouldn't have given him a second date.
I wouldn't have even
No
given
way.
him a first date.
I probably
Yeah, you
would have
would've
left.
Yeah, if he was that late, I'd be like, bro, I'm leaving.
Especially if I was hangry.
Oh, yeah. I don't know how you handled that with also being hungry.
I just knew I was meeting up with my friend afterwards, so I was like, okay, we're getting
I've
food.
been like, girl, I'm coming over sooner than you thought. Like, I'm not staying for this date. All right. Do we have another guy?
I mean, I have a few, but I don't know if you want to ask a question or you want we just go into another story.
There's not that many questions. So you
Okay.
can go into another story.
I'll-
Is the guy that you went on the first date with that day in this list?
Yeah.
Okay, tell that story.
So he's Kilt Guy.
Oh,
Kilt Guy.
So Kilt Guy, we matched on Hinge or Tinder. We matched on a dating app. I'm not gonna remember. I can't remember.
Okay.
And the conversation was good. It was like a good sarcasm flow. His pictures were good. Like it was one of those ones where I'm like, I think you're attractive, but also like I can't tell based on your photos. And like but yeah, I was like, this is exciting. Like
Yeah. Oh yeah.
no, but I'm pretty sure I was like, no, you seem like attractive. It was like, I think there was like one photo that was like slightly less attractive than the others.
Okay.
And that's what it was. But like for the most part, I was like, yeah, you're an attractive guy. When we started talking, like I love a good sarcastic conversation because I find that easier to manage. Like when it's just good back and forth, like joking and whatever. I'm so much better with that than like just like having actual small talk. I'm terrible at small talk. Please never try to bring me into like a small talk conversation because I can't do it. It will be incredibly uncomfortable and it will end quickly unless you carry the conversation.
Same actually.
Just a FYI to everyone, PSA to everyone who anyone wants to talk to me. Just jump in with the sarcasm. Like it's introduction and then make a joke and then we'll go from there.
Put your feet up here.
Yeah,
but
maybe my knee's getting
Yeah.
sore. Can we move it in a bit
Yeah.
where my feet don't reach?
So it was a good conversation. We like I think within like a day of meeting, we were planning a date, and so we were gonna meet on that Saturday or whatever it was for coffee. And he made a joke about having like, he's like, oh yeah, I got my mini skirt and whatever set for the date, and I was like, LOL, yeah, I got whatever outfit I said. And then
And then actually showed up in a skirt.
yeah, well, I get there and like first of all, he was late.
Again?
2 late dates in the same day. It wasn't that bad. I think he was just 10 minutes late. So it wasn't like, it wasn't a half hour, but, and that was the first one of the day. But it was also like me coming from work and getting there. I'm like, how am I getting to these places on time with all of this stuff I'm doing?
Yeah.
And like, these guys can't do it. Anyway, so I get there, I get my coffee or tea, whatever I got. And I was just drinking that. And then he came in and he was wearing a kilt. And I'm like,
Is he Scottish?
I assume so. I don't.
That's the
I
only
don't
reason I
know,
could think of, unless
but-
he just loves kills.
So like, I
Yeah.
feel like he was trying to get a reaction or like a joke, but I also was like, I'm not gonna assume that. I don't want to be a dick.
Yeah.
And so I didn't say anything. It just what it was. It doesn't really come into play too much. It's just like he was wearing a kilt.
Yeah, which is different.
Yeah. So that's where his nickname comes from because that was the most. But anyway, so that date was about 20 minutes. Apparently I was a bad date because he's the one who left. But I was like, okay.
Wait, what did he say to leave?
Well, okay, so we were talking and it was going all right. He was good. He was like a bit more extroverted. So that was helpful too. Partway through like the beginning, I was like, I don't know if there'll be another date, but like this is not going horribly. Like I'm okay with finishing this date. There just probably won't be a second one.
Yeah.
And it was good back and forth like it was with texting. At one point we were talking about because I said I would take a break from school or whatever. He's like, so how do you take a break from school? Like, do you like, I don't know, what's the process? And I'm like, well, for me, it was getting a letter saying you're required to withdraw and then taking a break. Because, like, at this point, I wasn't, university, I should have probably taken a break, an actual break from university, but I kept trying and it wasn't my favorite thing anyways.
Yeah.
But, it is what it is. And so, but he was like, so yeah, he was like, oh, so like, you aren't taking a break, like you're a contempt. But I'm like, no, I'm not like pursuing going back right now. Like I can try to go back. I am taking a break. Like I'm not, like I could reapply.
Like they asked you to stop doing the program.
Yeah, but like I can
However,
reapply.
yeah,
like
you can
there's,
reapply.
I can
do
reapply. I
something
can
else
go
if you
back in. But I was like, no, I should take a break and
Yeah.
not jump right back in. But he was like saying this was said in a sarcastic and joking tone. But he was like saying, oh, so you lied. And I'm like, I didn't. And then me also being like, this is all said in joking tones. But I'm also like not gonna be okay with being called a liar when I'm like,
Yeah.
no, I didn't lie. I am taking a break. I'm just not like yes, I was required to withdraw, but I am not actively trying to get back. I'm like, I want to focus on myself. I want to do some work before I am currently planning on going back to school. Like I have a program at like, I was looking at some stuff at Sheridan, stuff at Brock. So like, I took a break. Now I'm looking at going back to school. But no, he was saying, and he used a comparison where it was like, what if like you were like at work and then you were fired? Are you taking a break from work? I'm like, I guess if I'm not like looking for another job, like what? Or he's like, and then he said, and then you get rehired. I don't know. It was like a weird comparison. I'm like, I'm not lying. And like, it was such like, it was pushing so much. And then like after that conversation ended, he was like, okay, well, I'm going to go. And I'm like, I was almost done my drink too, but I'm like, at least wait for a half hour. I feel like for a coffee date, a half hour is reasonable.
Yeah.
This was like almost like barely 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And also, I was talking to a friend, like, she was like, I feel like it's because...
This is in Dundas?
This is in Dundas.
So
I'm like,
I
went all the way. I'm fucking Dundas.
For a 20-minute date.
Yeah. I was like, he left. I was like, I don't even understand what the fuck just happened. And he, like... Because, my friend was saying, like, she thinks it was because, like, I didn't let it go. Like, nothing was said, like, intensely. Again, everything was said in joking terms, but, like, I wasn't letting it go. Like, no, I didn't lie. I was like, LOL, no. Oh, actually, it's this.
Who comes to a date and calls somebody a liar?
Right? I'm like, I don't understand. Like, and, like, I also just said, like, something that was a bit vulnerable. Like, mainly because it was, like, I don't plan on seeing you again, so I'm not too concerned. But also, it's, like... whatever, I didn't have to tell you this. I could have actually lied. But I was like, no, actually this is what happened, but I'm just taking a break from like actively going back to school. But no, so she thinks it was because like I didn't go along with like his comment or whatever, like maybe because I fought back a bit, and then he was like,
he didn't like that.
Red flag anyway.
Yeah, which is like, again, I also wasn't planning on a second date, but I didn't think it was a bad date. It just was like we weren't meshing. But he texted me afterwards being like, hey, so I don't, like 5 minutes later he was like, I don't think it's gonna work out, all the best to you, like, or something like that. I'm like, okay. I'm like, I didn't want a second date anyways. I just wanted to finish my coffee and then we could have gone our separate ways.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so
yeah,
that was rough.
Probably for the best that
but it was just like the first time that I was like the bad date in a way. Like he left because he wasn't enjoying it, and not to say that I'm always perfect, but I was just like, it was just so
if that's
bizarre.
Your worst date for yourself, don't even take it hard.
I'm not gonna sit and be called a liar
I don't know
when
why
I'm not
so triggered
lying
by your schooling. Like,
right?
Why does he care that much?
Also,
like,
what was his schooling?
I don't know.
So, sir, maybe come forward with whatever you fucking done.
He could have said, I don't remember much about him other than his kills.
He's wearing a kill.
And he called me a liar.
Yeah.
I'm like, literally did not lie.
Honestly,
just
dodged a bullet.
I think so too.
Oh yeah, no, I'm happy. I'm like fine with it not continuing. I was just more so like, I was almost on my drink, and I can't believe you were just like, okay, well, I'm gonna go now. I'm like,
yeah,
okay,
yeah. At least
goodbye.
Wait until the drink is finished. Like, did he take his drink with him?
No, I think it was like for their cups. Like it was the place's cups.
So he didn't finish his drink either.
I think he finished his.
Oh, well,
but I mean,
out of politeness, like,
you wait.
Yeah. It was just, again, like, it was just 20 minutes for such like a drive, and like it was just annoying. So, I mean, it wasn't like perfect on either side, but like also was just like weird. It was a weird date and annoying. And then I had to go deal with Paper Straw Guy.
I love that you have names for them.
It's just, easier.
It's so funny.
It is easier than having the names. Then I don't have to block out as much either.
True.
Yeah.
So, okay. Can you stay friends with your ex?
I think it depends on the situation.
Yeah.
I think it's quite possible to stay friends with an ex depending on how it ended and depending on if there's any feelings lingering. Like, if there's any lingering feelings that, like, are unresolved or anything, and, like, it's gonna just be an issue, then, like, no. And if it ended poorly, then I don't think it's a good idea. There's, like, definitely variables, but I do think it's possible under the correct right circumstances that you can be friends with an ex.
Yeah, I agree. I'm friends with an ex, but I also reached out and like fixed the bridge to allow
The bridge that you had burned.
the bridge that I had demolished. I had to repair it, and I apologized.
That's super mature of you.
Thank you. My therapist recommended I do it, and I did it, and I told you I was writing it. Do you remember?
Yeah, I was here with you.
You were here with me, and he accepted the apology, and we're fine now. We're not friends, but we're fine with each other. But I think you can be friends with your ex.
Yeah.
Do you think so?
I mean, I only have one ex, and we're like civil, like we're acquaintances. Like if I were to see him, I mean, we don't live in the same city, so it's like it's not like I'm running into him every day. But like if we were to run into each other, like it'd be fine. I just don't. We don't keep in touch, right? Like when all this shit happened, like I messaged to be like, hope your family is like doing okay and everything, like that kind of thing, because obviously I was very close with his family for like 4.5 years. So, and like he has some health problems in his family, which I knew about, so I messaged to do that, and he said the same thing back. But then that was like the end of the conversation. Like we don't check in with each other really. When I went to the Michael Bublé concert, I had posted about it, and he messaged and said, like, I'm really happy for you that you got to go, because he knew that was something I had wanted to do my whole life. So, like, little things like that, like, we do, but we don't keep tabs on each other.
Right.
Like, I guess, like, I wouldn't even really say it's acquaintances. Like,
just someone used to fuck.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, and you're civil. Like, that's really all, like, like, I feel like even acquaintances, like, you keep tabs on each other sometimes, like, which we just don't.
That's true.
Like, I have no idea what he's doing. I don't think he has, I mean, I post about everything.
Yeah.
So I feel like he has probably an idea. I mean, like, he's on Instagram. So, okay, then, so like you said that under circumstances, it could be possible to be friends with an ex.
Yeah.
Have either of you stayed friends with an ex?
Well, I only have one ex, and we know that is not the case.
I'm friends with a couple of mine.
Okay.
Like,
how long were those relationships?
the longest was 5 months.
Okay.
But all my relationships are never long, and we know this.
Yeah, 5 months for you is
5 months for me. 5 months.
stretch.
5 months for me is a stretch. I usually cap at 2 months to 3, because I get bored.
She's a seasoned gal.
I'm a seasoned gal, serial dater. I get bored really easily, so I just move on. But yeah,
Not with me, though.
no, not with you. None of my friends. My friends have lasted a long time.
Yeah, that's true,
Like,
actually.
Brittany and me have been best friends since 10 years. We're almost.
I think we're 8.
We're 8.
And then Sid is
Sid's. I've known Sid since we were 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have friends that I've been friends with for 18 years.
Yeah. It's
I saw your story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the emotional connection, I think, with relationships, like intimacy.
Yeah. Because you have that with friends. You're just not afraid of those ones.
I know, which I've talked to my therapist about. But it's more of like the relationship side of stuff.
Yeah.
I had like one of my
Working on it.
situationship things was like we kept in touch like after it ended. Like he moved back home like to another country, so like that was like, so it kind of just ended for that reason. But it's also like it was a little bit of a toxic situation in general. Like there's like not like super toxic, but like there's definitely moments where it's like I deserved a lot better, and like also like not all on him. Like
Is he on the list?
no,
Oh. Where did he move back to?
Ireland.
Oh, is this?
No.
Who is this? Oh, yes. I remember. You briefly told me about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, don't want name in the.
I know. I'll cut all this out.
But yeah. So like we kept in touch a bit, but then I ended up having to like block him the next year because I posted with my ex, who was my then boyfriend, a story of us and also like a post of us around Christmas time, and my ex situationship person and like messaged me when he was drunk, responded to me like, I thought you're better than this, like why are you posting, like as if it was posting it to like it put a dig on him. Like I was like trying to get his attention. I'm like, it's been over a year. I'm not posting a thing saying I love this guy to get back at you or anything. And then anyway, so like after that he apologized like a week later, and like he was like, sorry, I was drunk, which is like not a great excuse. And it was just kind of like a bit, I was like, I don't really want to do this, like it's not worth it.
Yeah.
Like I already wasn't really keeping up too much, and again, like I should have ended the actual like the time we were hanging out, it should have ended earlier. Just like a lot of the time I was like, if he wasn't leaving, then I would have like dealt with some of the things earlier. But because I always knew he was like going back home, I was like, I'll just like keep in it. But again, so like it was back and forth. So we like kind of kept in touch, but now not anymore. And like, I mean, the person that I was recently like hanging out with, hooking up with, I guess it was never labeled, but it was basically friends with benefits. Like we're still keeping in touch, even though we're not hooking up or anything anymore. We're still in the friends part. Yeah, like we're all message and stuff, so that's nice. But actual exes, no. But again, I only have one ex.
Yeah, I mean, me too, and we're not either. So I just thought it was interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was with him, like the discussion of like if we were to ever break up, I feel like a lot of couples who are together for a long time have that discussion.
Yeah.
Where they're like, would we still be friends? Or could we still be friends? And at the time, I'd said, yeah, definitely. Like, I don't see why not. But then, like, when we actually did, like, my life was here now.
Yeah.
And there was no connection back to that.
Yeah.
So then it just, like, didn't really, like, align. Like, we always had that, like, oh, well, if you needed to or wanted to, like, you could. I mean, I needed space initially. Like, initially I was like, no, don't talk to me.
Yeah.
I need time just to, like, not have
I literally
this.
temporarily blocked his number for you when we went to that club once.
Yeah, because we, like, went out and I had asked for space, and then I wasn't given that space.
Right.
So then I was like, what the fuck? Like, I was really upset, and I didn't know what to do. And then Annie's like, just block it for tonight. And I was like, I feel really bad doing that. And she was like, no, just leave it for tonight. You can deal with it tomorrow. Like, at least have tonight to chill, and then deal with it tomorrow. And then I did, and then... Yeah, but, like, because I don't block people. I don't block anybody. I really struggle with blocking people. I feel so bad blocking people.
I don't like cutting people out. So I had an issue with that sometimes. But then, like, with a couple of people, I was like, you want to know, I need, like, with the situationship person. Yeah. I was like, he had ended up requesting to follow me again, like, after my ex and I broke up, which was, like, an interesting coincidence.
Yeah.
And I was like, sure, just because I was curious to see if he had any, like, he wanted to say anything, but he just followed me. Yeah. And then watched my stuff, and, like, I was like, this is weird.
Yeah.
So I removed him as a follower.
Yeah.
And he can't see my stories right now. But because I have a public account, so I didn't block him. I just, like, made it so we can't really
see anything.
Like, you can see my posts, but, like, it's whatever.
Yeah. I get that. I feel like there's certain levels that, like, depending on the person, like, you're like, oh no, it's fine, like, I'll just leave them, or like you're like, oh, I'll remove them so that I don't have to, like, they don't have to know necessarily that I've removed them. And then, like, you can, like, block them from your story. So many of my families block from my story. Like, I just don't have them. And then, like, there's, like, the full block. Like,
many people. I'd wonder if I go through my block to see how many people I have blocked. I know I have, like, over 10.
For your stories?
For my stories? Oh, for my stories, I have, like, 100 people blocked.
Yeah, I have a lot of
But for my actual, like, blocking on my account, I have so many. They're all past relationships, I think, as well. All, like, Tinder dates that have gone bad or something.
Yeah.
Or people that you only talk to once and then they got weird. You know?
Yeah.
I block everyone.
Yeah, that's true. You do.
Like, no shame.
Yeah.
Do what you gotta do.
Yeah, that's true too. Like, whatever you're comfortable with, it's your page. So, yeah. Are you public?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I wondered. Because you
used to be private, but then I made it public for, like, my job and stuff.
Yeah. I was going to say, even for, like, the pod and everything.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that was my question. I was just interested.
Okay.
So, who's next on the list?
Well, I'll tell you the bar story. It's not a date story, but I'll
Okay.
tell you this instant that occurred at a bar. So me and my friend were out in Guelph, and I was not really paying. We met up with these group of guys. I wasn't really paying attention. I was kind of out of it. I was kind of bummed out about something, so I was like not really paying attention to anything.
Okay.
But my friend, she's like very extrovert. She's very good at chatting. She loves meeting new people when we go out and just like starting conversations. So she did that. It was like we were 24 at the time. And I think they were like, yeah, we're 22 or something. It's like, okay, that's not that bad. And so I think my one friend was like talking to one of the guys more, and then whatever, we go at the end of the night, we are all outside. They're trying to get a cab or a taxi home or Uber home or something, which was a while away. And then as we're waiting, like my friend and one of the guys starts making out, and then one of his friends who I was just sitting there, I was talking to, he turned, and then we ended up making out just because I just didn't give a fuck. I was like, I'm not in the mood, but also like, kind of cute, I guess, but not. I was like, whatever. Like, he was cute, but also it was like not really my type, or it was just like I just didn't care.
Yeah.
I was not in the headspace for like whatever. And then I think we exchanged there's exchange of Instagrams and Snap stories, whatever. So like we started following them on Instagram. We were creeping them, and I was like looking at a photo. I'm like, oh, this is weird. Like, what's this? My friend messaged me like, did you see that their post from like not too long ago was like their prom post? I'm like, wait, and I was like, oh yeah, I saw, like, whatever. And then it took me like 5 seconds. I was like, wait a second. So wait, how? From when did they post that? Like, that was last year. And one of their birthdays was like in June, and we were just out in June.
Yeah.
And so we figured it out. They were 19 years old.
Oh.
That one guy, freshly legal to drink. It was so uncomfortable. And then after that, we literally, at least in Guelph, when we're in university town, if someone seems like questionable, it's like, can we see your ID, please? Like, we actually have to ask for proof of age now, because it's happened a couple times. Another time I caught him, I was questioning him. I'm like, I don't believe you. And then like I caught him in a lie, and then I asked for ID, and he was like 19, 20 or something. But at that point we were like 25, 26.
That's such a
so
baby.
It's like, stop lying about your ages. It's like, it's so uncomfortable. Like, no wonder we have trust issues. Like,
I just don't get why.
Because they knew that we wouldn't be interested if we knew their actual age.
Yeah,
because they're babies.
Yeah.
It was the most disturbing thing to discover. I was so like, ugh. I was like, no, I don't want this to have happened.
Honestly, smart.
That's so wild that you have to do that, though.
Right? It's so fucked up. It's like, can people just be honest? Like, if I was out in Toronto, I probably wouldn't do that. But like in Guelph, when it's university students, it's like hard to tell. Like, sometimes, like, are you university? Are you like older student? Like, or are you like outside of school?
Yeah, because I guess at 19, like, I mean, you're legal age, so you're still going out to bars and talking to people and stuff like that. Yeah. I mean, I don't ask for IDs. I just know that they're like my dad's age sometimes, and I'm like, and then I just say, I'm like, you're as old as my dad, and then they're like, wait, what? And I'm like, also, like, I look younger, especially like with my glasses and everything. Like, I was 19 with braces and glasses, and like 30-year-old men were hitting on me, and I'm like, yeah, like, I know I'm going out to bars because I'm legal age, but regardless, like, you are definitely too old for me.
Yeah.
Like, why?
Is that too old for you?
When I was 19, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, now I would
Yeah.
Now I would date somebody who's older, but like, that's still like, well, my dad is only 20 years older than me as well. So like, my dad isn't that much older than me. Like, when you really think about it, like, he wasn't that old when my mom had me. My mom is only 20 years older than me as well. They're the same age, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, like, if somebody's like 10 years older than me now, it doesn't really faze me that much. But if somebody's like 20 years older than me, then I'm like, that's too much.
Yeah.
Like, I still would be like that. Annie's on the other
I've been on a date with like a 45-year-old man.
Yeah,
So-
I've heard that. Like you talked about that on the pod before, and
Yeah.
I was like, Annie, who is this guy?
Yeah, so I've been on dates with older guys. It's nice.
Oh, I mean, like, it's one thing to like go on a date with them. It's another thing to date them. Have you dated them?
Oh, no, not longer than like 4 weeks.
Yeah, okay. So like
So
that's another thing. Like I feel like I'm not going to date somebody who's 45 when
We also don't have anything in common.
That's what I mean. Like
Yeah.
I'm not going to date somebody who's that much older because like there's no where to go with that. Like
Yeah.
I'm not going to have that much in common with somebody who's like this man's going to be talking about how he fucking like trek to school and the like our parents do. But I'm going to be like, yeah, no.
No thanks.
That's not my life. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, it just doesn't make sense like for me to date somebody
Yeah.
that old. I mean, I'm dating somebody 2 years older than me. That's way different.
But not 20.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
like I feel like there's a cutoff. Like I said, up to 10 years, I feel like you could still
Yeah.
could still date and have things in common with. Past 10 years, I feel like then it starts to get like I don't know.
Yeah,
so
different
much.
stages. Different,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. It's also like weird because I was talking to Jude about this because we are 2 years apart, and my grandma was like initially like, "Oh, he's 2 years older than you," and I was like, "Yeah," and then she was kind of like, "Oh, like that's a little strange," and I was like, 2 years is like nothing.
Yeah.
But then like I remember in high school we had somebody who was like in grade 12 dating somebody who was in grade 10. Or 9, and it was
Right.
like such a no-no. Like it was
Yeah.
like the teachers were like, this shouldn't be happening, like we need to speak to their parents. And then they spoke, and then the parents were kind of like, I mean, like I get what you're saying, but like at the same time, like I don't get what you're saying, because like I think the parents outside of school were able to see like they're only a few years apart, like it's not that big of a deal. But the teachers were like really having an issue with it.
Right.
So then I was like, and I remember even some of the students, not gonna lie, even us being like, that's a little strange.
There was one relationship
Yeah.
that I questioned quite a bit. I was like,
Yeah.
this is fucking weird. She's
Yeah.
literally a child.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense. Like in high school, just one grade difference can be a huge thing. I mean, it's weird because in grade 10, I was in a grade 9 art class, and it was like I became friends with people there, so it didn't seem that different, but like you could still see there was a difference because like every year you're gaining more like experiences and everything. So even like to have a 2-year different relationship in high school, 3 years difference, like that's huge. That's a 13-year-old and a 17-year-old.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so weird.
It's so weird to like think about at that point. Like to be like, wait, because that age gap seems so different.
Yeah.
But then now it's like, oh yeah, I am 24 and he's 26.
Yeah.
Which is nothing.
Which is nothing now.
Yeah, it definitely just depends on like where you are in life and
Yeah.
like maturity levels and like experiences.
Yeah.
Because even like a 19-year-old and a 23-year-old, I mean, like that's not bad, but still also like there's still like a great amount of difference in experiences. That's like first year university and end of university or college or whatever.
Yeah.
Like there's so many differences. I mean, that could still work, but it's just like
You're
it's
very
just
different.
you want to make sure like you're in the right, like there's like enough similarities and you're in the right, like you're both going through similar things or on the same path or like different, same, like I don't know. It's just so weird when it's like someone who's like technically it's okay, but it's like it's still such a great difference. Like an 18-year-old and a 27-year-old.
Yeah.
Like that's just a lot. That's such a difference in experience.
Yeah.
And that's when you're younger too. You still think you're like you know everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Like,
the thing.
and then as you get older, you're like, oh no.
I
Did not know shit.
Yeah. 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 But like even like sometimes I'll be like, yeah, when you were graduating, I was in grade 10. And he was like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah. Like you started university and I still had 2 years of high school left.
Yeah.
It's weird to think
It's
about
weird because
then.
that's funny because when I went on a date with this guy, He was like, I was in university when you were born.
That's wild. Like, that's wild.
Oof.
Yeah, that's wild.
There's a huge age, because when we went on the dates and we were actually like, we were really good with each other, but he would talk about, oh, well, I'm ready for kids. I'm like, I'm a kid.
Like, I am a kid.
I am a child.
I am too young.
It's so weird to think about.
Yeah.
That age will be the highest that I ever date.
45?
45 was a bit much.
That's literally my dad's age.
Yeah, he
My
was
dad is
he was
45.
lovely though. He was a retired hockey player.
Oh,
So he was hot.
that's
Don't
good.
you with hockey
I
players.
hate players.
But yeah, too old.
Yeah.
Way too old.
Yeah. 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 Like I said, go on a date with them. Do
Dates
whatever
were great. They were expensive, so I don't regret it.
Well, yeah. Obviously. The man's probably balling out at 45.
Yeah.
But I always wondered, too, if they're that old and are still single. I'm like,
Do you think they have a significant other?
no. I just think if they're single, then what's going on? Like, why are people turning him...
Away?
Yeah. Like, I feel like there's something going on there that might be a little shady.
Yeah.
Or he's turning people away to date younger.
I think he had previous relationships where they're all young girls. The predator.
I mean, you're still of age. Like,
Yeah.
and it's not like he's forcing you to go on these dates.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Interesting.
anyway. Story.
Sorry. Oh, let me see. Okay, I'll tell you my first date.
First date ever?
First date ever.
Wow.
Which of course, awkward. I think it was third year university was when I had my first date.
Okay.
And it was some guy on Tinder. And I almost didn't want to go, as like my friend was like really like just do it. She explained it more of like, just think of it as like you're adding on to your resume, like it's your dating experience. You just gotta get started. And I was like, that's a really good way of thinking of it. I wasn't like super into the guy, but again I was like, sure, yes, let's just do it. Let's whatever.
What year was this?
Third year.
So what year?
Oh, what year? I don't know. 2013,
What year
2014,
did you
2015, 2016.
Okay.
Yeah, because we started university in 2013, so this would have been like,
yeah,
I think 2016.
Okay.
So I was talking to this guy on Tinder. It was like, I don't remember the conversation much, but like, I remember, I know he said he was from Toronto, but when we came on the date and I was looking at the distance he was coming from to the date to Guelph, I was, like, you're in Toronto. You're coming all the way to Guelph from Toronto for this date. And I felt so bad because in my head, I'm like, I don't even know if I really, this is just more of an experience thing for me. I'm like, maybe it'll go well, but like, I was not expecting you to come from Toronto. I thought maybe you were in the area for like what, anyways. I'm like, okay. And so he picks me up, and we go to this, I think it was a coffee shop. And we're getting drinks, and it was like a little bit awkward, but like it was fine. But it was very much like, I just kept, to keep the conversation going, I made like a joke, be like, oh, what's the next like date topic? Like I would make it like, I try to think of like a typical date topic, but I'd make a joke, like I actually say it, make a joke like, oh, let's talk about like our favorite this, or like whatever. And it was like, it was going okay, but I was just like, it was awkward silences, and I just remember there was just like, it just was not vibing at all. And after we got coffee, I thought we were just gonna get coffee and go, but like ended up being there for like an hour or so. And I'm like, he drove me, like he picked me up and drove me.
Oh yeah.
And so I'm like, and then he asked if I liked pool, and in my head I'm like, I feel like I know where this is going, so I'm gonna say no. And he's like, oh, okay, because there's a pool hall over there, but like if you're not, sorry, I'm not really into it. And so I got us to go home. And then this is where the main thing that I remember from the date is that he was trying to remember a song. He couldn't remember the name, what name of a song, whatever. So on the drive home, there was no music playing. There was him humming.
Honestly, this is me.
A song, trying to come up with it. And it was so uncomfortable. And it was the entire drive home. And I'm like,
how long was the drive?
talking like 10 minutes, so it was not like extreme.
Yeah.
It wasn't too
But
long, but
someone's coming.
long enough for when someone's just trying to come up with the name of a song and it was not happening. And I'm like, I am so uncomfortable right now. I just need this to end. Like, play some music and hum it to yourself, or like figure it out later and then text me.
Yeah.
If you figure it out. But it was just the most.
You obviously didn't know the song.
I had no idea what he was talking about. I was like, I don't know. I just want to go home. The date, just the coffee part of the date just went longer than I was expecting.
Yeah.
And it was just like, okay, it wasn't like the worst date ever, but it was also just like a really awkward first date, especially because I just felt so bad he came from Toronto.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why are you coming to Guelph from Toronto just to go on a date with me? Yeah, like it was just like, it just didn't make sense.
Yeah, it's not like you can just like leave when you want.
Yeah.
Like, all right, I'm gonna head out. Like,
yeah, I couldn't pull the kilt guy move.
Yeah, true. Even though you probably would have done it way nicer than he would.
Yeah. Like, I would have just, like, I would have finished the cough. Well, yeah, I pretty much would have done what I did, which was just, like, finish it and then be like, okay, no, not really interested in doing anything else. So let's go home. Yeah. Then I ended up texting him later being like, I think I said I wasn't really looking to date. I think I realized I wasn't looking to date at the time. I was some kind of typical, like, oh, it's not you, it's me. I'm not really interested at the moment.
Yeah.
I'm a bit more honest in my endings now, where it just wasn't working out.
Yeah.
But that was my first date, and I'm like, I didn't want to make him feel bad, so it's just like, it's not working out for me. I'm not really feeling like dating right now, I realized.
Yeah.
Also, that sounds horrible because he made me realize. So I'm like, oh, maybe not the best response.
I mean, it's fine.
Yeah. So that's not like a terrible dating story. It was just that humming really makes it just made it so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I'm like, I literally just wanted to crawl out of the car. I'm like, I want to be home so bad.
I wonder what song it was that he was struggling to remember in that moment.
No idea.
He never said.
I don't think so. I don't think it ever got resolved.
Oh no. That song's probably still stuck in that man's head. Okay, what was his name? Just awkward guy?
No, that's his first date. He didn't have a name.
Oh,
his first date guy, I guess. Awkward guy is a different person. That's like a long story. I don't know if I'll tell that one.
Okay. You can if you want. I have 2 more questions, so.
I have 2 other stories that I'd rather tell.
Okay.
And so, an awkward guy is just like, it was just, I don't even know. It was just like a lot of, he also got 2 dates. And to be fair,
oh my gosh,
the first date wasn't terrible. Like, it ended up being like a decent date. So I was like down for a second, but then I also wasn't really feeling it. And it wasn't just his fault. I did not help in the awkwardness.
Okay.
It's the second date. The second date was the most awkward.
Self-aware.
I was just like, that was my first date of that day too, for the second date.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my god.
I was just, trying to get things done, I was like going on these dates. I was trying dating. I'm like, oh yeah, I can fit 2 dates because they were both going to be in Toronto this time. It still ended up being like more driving than was necessary.
This was after the first 2 date day?
No, this was the first one. So
you planned better the first time.
Yeah, because they just both happened to be in Toronto.
Yeah.
Area or whatever. It was still, yeah.
Sorry, I'm trying to get comfortable.
I won't go through the first date too much. We were supposed to just meet at a Starbucks near a GO station, and then he went to the wrong It was just I was like, I was waiting a long time. I can't say that he was late because he did say he had a meeting, but that did go longer than I was expecting. I ended up I was walking around the mall, the Eaton Center, I think, and I bought a new shirt. Or maybe it was sure, it doesn't matter. And because I was like waiting for so long, and you're like, you know what? I don't like my outfit anymore, so I'm gonna buy a new shirt. And that shirt and jean combo, that was my date outfit for the summer. I just wore that for every date that summer after that.
There you go.
Because it just worked. It was cute. I'm like, sure, I don't have to think about it. Where's my date outfit?
That's actually smart. That's proactive.
Yeah, like having a go-to date outfit makes sense.
Yeah.
Plus, it's different guys all the time, so it's not like they're seeing.
They never know.
Exactly. So the first date that once we finally eventually met up, like we got drinks, and then we went for a walk, and like it was fine. It wasn't too awkward. Like there was an awkward moment, but like overall it was like, you know what, not too bad.
Yeah.
So we went for a second date. I think I just already wasn't like feeling like it anymore. I think just between that time I was like, I don't know. But that was awkward. I met him at his house, and then we walked.
Sorry if you can hear the beeping.
What is that?
I don't know. Maybe they're having another fucking rally. Who knows?
Probably.
Yeah, you guys got a lot of stuff going on in this area. I remember I was visiting my friend over there, and we were walking, and there's like a bunch of motorcyclists around Halloween, I think, going down the street, and everyone was dressed in their like onesies or costumes, which is pretty fun.
Yeah. Good old Young Street.
Yeah.
Oh, we gotta stop saying where we fucking live, though.
Young Street's big, though.
That's true.
You gotta stop saying where you work.
Last time
you have podcasts where you're like, oh yeah, come see me. Like you're talking about the Eaton Center, and like, oh, around the corner over there. And I'm like, guys, no, people can find you.
I know. We literally in a previous podcast said where our subway station was. And we're like, we live right around the corner from this subway station.
Yeah.
You guys are moving soon, so you know it's fine.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, stop saying locations.
We want to be specific.
We were like, yeah, I work here, right around the corner from here, and
at this time.
Right at this,
come meet us here. But so we walked to Starbucks. Me and this guy from his place, which was like a decent walk. Like it wasn't close by, but it was like whatever. The conversation was like super awkward. But again, I wasn't helping too much. I also already was like, I had the next date later on, which I was a bit more excited about. And then this was just, it was just also just it just wasn't going well.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I don't think I felt like putting in the effort after a certain point.
Yeah.
And then we went to Starbucks, and then like we got drinks, and I think he got a frappuccino with whipped cream, and then at the end he was like really like going for that whipped cream, and I was like, okay.
You got the egg.
You got
the egg.
And then we walked back. My feet were a bit sore because I wasn't expecting to walk as much as we were. But I was like, whatever. We got back to his place, and like I was thinking I wanted to go. I think I said I had dinner plans, but then he asked if I could like wanted to watch a movie or a better movie. Until then, I was like, sure. So we go up to his room, and we're set up his laptop. He leaves his door open. He lives at home with his like family. And we're there, and then his door's open, and then like at one point he like goes to like make out with me, and I like kind of was like I put an end to at one point. Like I was like, I think we did a quick one. I was like, okay, but the door was open. I saw his brother walk by at one point. I'm like, this is so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And he just went again, and he was like on top of me, but I was literally like, my hands were like barely touching his shoulders. And I was like, oh my god, what's a reasonable amount of time without being like insulting? Because I didn't want to be a dick, but I also was like, I know I should probably like now I would be like no, but at that point I'm still learning, guys. Even 2019 from now, I learned a lot. I'm better with my boundaries. I'm not just like letting things happen. No, I was letting things happen, but I was like, you know, I would have probably not gone in his house.
Yeah. You're like, yeah, no, this date's ending here.
Yeah, I was like, you know, I gotta go. But I was just like, okay. And then I eventually it just stopped, but it was just very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Just so many things were uncomfortable about the date, and it was just such an awkward time. And again, like, it's not just him, it was me. I take responsibility as well. Like, it was just a mutual awkward date. Neither of us texted each other afterwards.
Oh,
it was a mutual, just like, it's not working out.
It didn't go well.
Yeah, which was fine. Like, that's a great way.
I can't believe he was expected to be like on top of you with the door open.
Right?
Like,
It
that's
was
weird.
Yeah, and it did not last long. Like, I was like, okay, and then was like, I think I said something about going slow or like wanting to stop or like something, because I was just like not feeling it at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that, again, I take partial responsibility for the awkwardness there, because I didn't help with conversation as much, and also I put myself in a bit of those situations where I was just like, probably could have ended it before that, but it's what it is.
Yeah, I mean, like, you always have the option. Like, you can always say
Yeah.
Fucking stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was just
Get
like
off of me.
it was just
parents-
awkward all around. But the second date that day was, his name is Intense Guy.
Oh, here we go.
So Intense Guy. I actually met him in person. I met him. He was a customer at Indigo when I worked there. It was really cute kind of meeting where I was helping him find a gift. He wanted to give a gift. He wanted to give a gift of a weighted blanket to just a friend, just because she was like, I don't know if she was down or something was going on, but like, so I'm like, first of all, weighted blankets aren't cheap. So like, not that I was going after him for his money, but also like, oh, he has money.
He has money.
Also, when he picked me up in his fucking car, he had money. He was like a massage chair. He was like, had like one of those things you can watch a music video on the screen on the front, which is like not smart, but also like, it was just a decked out car. And I'm like,
oh my gosh.
who are you?
Yeah.
We met. So yeah, we started a conversation, like a bit of a conversation. Like we had a little back and forth like conversation. Like I could see like we kind of made eyes at each other in the store, and then he was walking away, and I was actually gonna be like, no, I should go ask for his number. But then he turned around and asked for mine. I was like, oh, I was just gonna do that. So I was like, okay.
Aww.
So this was
A meet cute.
yeah, but like the timing. So this was just after I think the Raptors had their big win. So this was right before the parade.
Oh yeah.
Right? So just for a time frame.
Okay.
So this was like the Thursday, Friday. We talked about getting like I think smoothies or something on the Sunday, but
Yeah.
I kind of panicked, backed out. I think it's just still like early on in the dating for this. I don't know. I was just feeling a bit anxious. So and it was like Father's Day, so I just made that as an excuse. And then instead we ended up making plans for dinner on like that Wednesday, which was like an 8:00 dinner in Toronto, which is a lot more intense. I'm like, oh my god, this is like an adult date.
Yeah.
We're going for an 8:00 reservation in Toronto.
Oh
This
my
is an
gosh.
adult date. But so I ended up, so from the previous date with Awkward Guy, I drove from that guy's place to Kipling Station, then took the subway to Kipling Station into Toronto, and then walked to my sister's place at the time to pretend I was just coming out of my sister's place, and he picked me up there.
Oh.
Because I didn't want him to know, like he was insistent on like kind of driving. He was like, no, I'm okay with, I'm like, sure, but also I didn't like wanting to have to worry about parking in Toronto, so I was like, I'm fine with it. But it was just like, because at the previous day I was like, I don't know what to do with my car, and then I was like, I don't know where to meet him, and I'm like, I'll just be at my sister's apartment, but my sister wasn't home, and so I was just standing outside her building.
Oh my god, the commitment.
Yeah. So he picked me up. He took me to this like nice Italian restaurant where he's a regular. Like they knew him there, like he's a regular there. And then we get there, we start sitting. He's very outgoing, good at carrying the conversation too. He did acknowledge my quietness, but not in like a rude way, just kind of like he was like okay with like carrying the conversation like until I got out of my shell a little bit more. So like it was like fine
In a respectful
respectful way, not in a, oh my god, you're so quiet.
Yeah.
Oh
my god, talk.
my god, talk.
Open your fucking mouth.
Which like I did talk a bit, but like it was just like he talked more,
Like, you
which was
didn't
fine.
feel
Like it would be like
uncomfortable.
me and Shay talking, where Shay's gonna carry the conversation, but I'll still
Yeah.
contribute. But at one point, one of the waiters came over, and who he knows, he's like, yeah, this is Janna. You'll be seeing a lot more of her. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Oh no.
Wait, did that put you off?
Yeah.
That would have put me off.
That would not have put me off.
What?
I was like,
I would have got up.
okay.
I was a lot. That
I
was
would've
like
gotten
that.
up,
That
yeah.
wasn't like the deal breaker, but it was
That was
like
ick number one.
it was. Yeah, it's just like this is a first date, and you're telling these people they're gonna be seeing a lot more of me, which is just a little bit. It's a bit too much.
I think it would depend on how I was feeling in the moment,
Right.
but I don't know if it would have put me off.
All right, that's fair.
I think I would have been like,
Whoa.
okay. I was
Thank you.
like, thank you, sir.
And then then he was talking about, at one point we were talking about the Raptors and stuff, and then he was like, oh, we should go to a basketball game. But no, this is right when the season ended, so he's
Yeah.
talking about like a future game months from now. I'm like,
He's preparing.
And then at one point, I don't know if it was during dinner or later in the date, he made a comment about, I don't know if I said I was going away somewhere for New Year's or like something about the winter time. And he was like, said, I don't remember what it was, but something about like, either it was like, oh, like, don't miss me too bad when I'm gone, or like something pretty much insinuating we'd be together in the winter in December, and this was June. And I'm like, okay, that's like 3 things that are like talking about the future a bit, and like whatever. The entire date was very lovely. He was just a lot during those comments, but like we continued the date. We went we ended up walking by the water a bit, and like we held hands a bit, which was nice. My feet were killing me. I was wearing these shoes with heels that I'm not used to wearing, and my feet were not happy. He actually drove me back to my car at Kipling Station, which I appreciated. So he's like a very lovely person, and I'm sure there's someone that would really appreciate the forwardness and all of that.
This one.
But so that was the first date. Okay, so and remember, we had met the week prior. We didn't really text much over the weekend other than just talking about the plans. And so this was our first like real interaction, like getting to know each other. Then he was talking about a second date. And then I remember the text on a Friday. There was a text on Friday that was like, "Happy Friday, beautiful," or "Hope you're something." Was going. So it was just like it was a big text, and he put like a red heart emoji. And I'm like, that's so much. After one date where he'd already talked about stuff for the future. And it was just like, it was a lot.
Yeah, I can see that.
And I was just like, hold on, I want to see if I still have the text.
He does sound like a great guy,
He's
though.
such a lovely person. Like, I'm hoping he's with someone now. Because, like, nothing really wrong with him. It was just too much for me.
Yeah.
Like,
that would have made me scream.
Yeah.
I think that's my worst nightmare.
No, I would have loved that.
You would have
loved that. I really like people who are forward. I don't know about the red heart. That might have been
they
a bit,
had just met.
Yeah, that might have been a bit much. But, like, I don't know. Like, I like when people are forward, like, with things. Like, even, like, with Judah and I, from the very beginning, we've just been very forward about like how we felt about each other.
Yeah.
And we were kind of like that like the whole time. Like we're very forward about everything. So.
Yeah, that's a bit forward.
I can understand somebody not liking it.
Yeah.
But I think I would have been like,
I would be fine with some of these things if it was further along. Yeah. Because it all happened so
on the
quickly.
First date,
bam, bam, bam.
And like we weren't texting. Like we didn't get a relationship through text. So it was all just like pretty much meet, first date, and then like big text. Yeah. And then you're talking about wanting to make plans for like Friday, which I was thinking about, but like it was so funny. I was listening to another like a podcast with my friend. I can't remember what they're called, but and it was like as I got this text, they were talking about like if you get a text and you're not like you're immediately like ugh or like dreading it, like you probably shouldn't be with that person. I'm like, what timing is this?
Yeah.
And like on the date we were talking about various things, and like one of the things was like being a rebound. Like I don't remember exactly the context, but we were talking about rebounds in general. And like because I was like still getting over like a previous like person. I kind of just used that. Like I did talk about that on the date as well, just because we talked about it a lot. And so I kind of explained that situation. And then so I kind of used that as like, you know what, after I was thinking about it, and like after talking about rebound, I realized like that would maybe kind of be what you were for me, and I don't want to put you in that position, which wasn't a complete lie. Like it was kind of true, but also it was like a really good excuse to like end it. It was just a lot real fast. It was too much. And again, lovely person. I hope he's found someone, because he deserves someone. Yeah. But it was just, for me personally, way too much. Way too much. Yeah.
I can see why.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, like I can see why. I just tend to like those things.
Yeah.
It hadn't happened on the first, like we were just talking about this will kind of segue into my question, but we were just talking about the what are we conversation. Like I like when people are forward and want to have those conversations, and I don't have to be like, what's going on, and then like have like I like people who don't make it awkward and are okay with talking about it. But like we were talking about how you kind of need to give it a little bit of breather room before you have the conversation.
Yeah.
And there was no breathing room there happening. So I can understand you being like, whoa, that's a lot. But yeah, basically leading into my question, how do you have the what are we conversation?
I don't know.
Have you had that conversation? Or have people had to bring it up to you?
People have had to bring it up to me multiple times because I don't really sell myself in these podcasts. Like, I have a bad habit of not being able to fully show how I feel in certain relationships, and I've had partners be like, so, like, what are we? Where are we? Because whenever we have the what are we conversation, I usually use it to be like, no, we're ending it here.
Right.
Which isn't good. But, so, I can't really give good advice on this because I am toxic in this aspect. I'm not anymore.
Yeah,
but
I don't think you're toxic.
I'm not anymore. No, I was.
Oh.
I was in past relationships. But I'm not anymore. So, like, honestly, I don't even know how to have the what are we conversation because it always ends bad.
Yeah. Like, the conversation I had, I initiated one conversation when I was high on Molly. So that was helpful. And then the other with my ex, he kind of initiated it, but it was very, like, he initiated it, but it was also very, like, kind of just happened. I was like, I kind of threw it back at him. And then he said this, and he was like, well, can I call you my girlfriend? I was like, if I can call you my boyfriend. And then we just kind of went from there. We're also in the backseat of his car, so it was like,
That's cute.
It was
That's
just
hot.
like,
That's
yeah,
hot.
it was a lot going on. Both, like, very extreme ways of doing the conversation.
Yeah.
No,
Right
but,
on
like,
Molly.
there was, like, the only time we done, but it was like, it helped with the conversation, but then it wasn't. I don't know. I really would love. I am very much like about like everyone should have open communication. Everyone should be truthful. Like, everyone should just be honest about their feelings. But I struggle so hard expressing my feelings.
Same.
I don't know how to phrase things. I like panic, and like I'm like, I want to so badly be able to do this because I like preach. Like, I need open communication, and I've worked really hard. Like, I have been able to do that, especially with my past relationship. I was like, there's a couple instances where I'm like, I did put myself out there, and it's like, this is how I'm feeling, and this is really hard for me to talk about, but like, I need us to have this conversation. And I've gotten better at it, but I still struggle with like, I don't know how I feel. How do you feel? And then I'll go off of what you say.
Yeah. It's like a mixture of like a people pleasing and then just like you're feeling so much at one time that it's hard to sort through. Like, that's why sometimes, like, if I was talking about with the texting, I'll just like be like, oh, I'm fine, because I don't know how I am, like, want to react to something yet, and it's just better for me to take the time to like sort through it before I talk about it.
Right.
So I think I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
The whole like, you say how you feel and then I'll go off of that is very people pleasing. I don't know if you know that or not.
Well, I don't necessarily, it's more so wanting to get their vibe first before putting myself out there. Like, I won't necessarily say what they want me to say. Like, I'm not necessarily doing it in a people pleasing way.
Yeah.
I just more want to know where they're at before I say my answer. So if they're like, oh, I'm in this, I'm still, I might still be like, okay, well, I'm not really feeling that way. Yeah. This has never happened, but I was like, this is like, but like, I just prefer knowing how that person's feeling so I can know how to phrase whatever I'm feeling. So either I'm like, yes, I'm on the same page, or I can be like, okay, well, I'm not there or whatever. But I'm not going to say something just because I think they want to hear it. I won't do that.
That's good.
To get the vibe right.
Yeah. But I really have been trying hard to work on like expressing my feelings, which I've done a bit better with my friends. Like, I'll tell like my friends how I'm feeling. Like, I told like I was feeling lonely, so I was like, anytime someone asked how I was feeling, like, I'm actually not great, I am quite lonely. And then I got people being like, okay, then let's do more stuff. I'm like, okay, thank you, because I don't have any friends in Burlington. Everyone else lives everywhere else. So that was really helpful. So I'm getting better at it with my friends, but when it comes to like feelings, I'm like, I don't know, because there's so much that comes with that, because it can completely like change a path
Yeah.
or situation or a relationship.
Yeah.
And so I get very stressed out, but I'm trying very hard to be okay
Girl,
with that
same.
conversation.
That's why I'm not dating right now. Because I struggle
Yeah.
in it.
It's hard to date, especially like right now in COVID. It's like near
Yeah.
impossible. And like all the apps, everyone fucking sucks. I'm like,
Literally.
it's so hard to find someone.
Someone
on the
messaged
app.
me this morning and said, "Can I come over and play with your jugs?"
Oh my lord!
At 6 a.m, he sent
What?
You
that.
didn't like that?
No.
I had someone
Like, you know what? Sure.
You know what? Come fondle.
a year or a couple years ago. I had someone who like initiated like a sexting conversation first thing in the morning. I'm like, it is too early for this, sir.
Go to
I
bed.
just woke up.
Maybe it's 'cause they're waking up with like morning wood.
Maybe,
But goddamn, it's too
Like,
early.
Jeez.
It's too early for this shit.
Yeah, I unmatched him.
I mean,
How do you
no,
manage
I,
that?
Here's my other question. Have you ever... Oh, maybe we should answer the first question.
Well,
I don't.
The what
have
are
an-
we
I don't know.
conversation.
we have no advice.
There's
Okay,
nothing.
my
to-
advice,
yeah.
because I've had this conversation before, would be like I said, you need a little bit of breather room. So when you first start the relationship, quote relationship, because it's not a relationship initially,
Yeah.
usually something happens. Whether it's a date, whether it's a few dates, whether it's a kiss, whether you fuck, like something happens, and then you're like, oh, well, this has now changed our relationship that once was. So now we have to have a conversation about it to be like, okay, well, what's going on now?
Yeah.
So it could be anything. Also, like that could be like a Tinder date. Say you went on a Tinder date and then the date went really well. Now you've gone on a second date, maybe even a third date, and now you're wondering like, okay, he still hasn't kind of been like, oh, I'm serious about this. Like I want to be your boyfriend. Like he hasn't said anything, or she hasn't said, or they them hasn't said anything. So now you're like, okay, what do I do here? Because you know it has to happen, but how do you go about doing that? If you're at the point where you've gone on like 3, 4, I mean, I don't know what the average is. I would say after like 3 dates with somebody, if I'm still like pretty interested in them, I would be like, okay, hey, like what's going on? Like I've invested at minimum probably about 3 hours of my time into you, and that doesn't include like texting in between and stuff.
Right.
If I'm committing that much time to you, is something gonna happen or no? Like that's where I'm kind of thinking. So at that point, you've given that breather room that I'm talking about. Now, there's other situations, like in my case, where you kiss somebody that you work with or is a friend, and then you're like, okay, well, we've known each other for this long, and now we've done this thing that obviously has changed the relationship now. In situations like these, you don't wait 3 fucking dates before you talk about it. You have to talk about it sooner. But you still have to give it a little breather room, right? As you were talking about. So you want to take some time like away from that person and kind of get your thoughts together, because when they say love is blind, that includes lust as well. Like when you're in it and you're like doing stuff with that person, like it's very like cloudy. Like your brain, it sounds like you're high pretty much, but like that's what it's like. Like you're not thinking straight. Let's be real. Like you're thinking with your clit, not with your head. So yeah. So, like, you're not going to make a rational decision necessarily being with that person. So if you take some time away, whether that's like even literally just a few hours or a day or something like that, take some time away and see how you're feeling. Kind of like what you were saying. If you get a text from that person and it's like, ugh, like I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
That's probably a sign that you don't want to go further in the relationship. If you're like excited to see that person again and like you want to see that person again, then yeah, like you're like, okay, I'm in it, right?
Yeah.
So now actually approaching that conversation, like really, like I just think of it as like, what is going to hurt me the least? That's how I address things, okay? So is it better for me to address it now when I know these things and I need to know this and how he's feeling? Or do I address it when we're like quite a few kisses in and now we're just very confused as to where we are?
Yeah.
Right? Like the emotions are only going to get worse.
Yeah.
Right? Then obviously feelings developed. So then again, I had to have that conversation once again. So then you just really have to keep track of your emotions and where you're at all the time. So for me, it was him going away for a weekend. At this point, it was the longest I had been away from him because we fucking worked together and saw each other every single day. So this was the first time I was away from him from Thursday to Sunday, and I was like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Why do I miss him this much? Right? So then when that happens, then when he came home, I was like, if I don't have this conversation now and I have feelings and he doesn't, is this going to be helpful for me to stay in this and just wonder? Or do I get out of it now if he doesn't and save myself the fucking heartbreak that I know is going to come in a few months if I don't bring it up? Right? So those basically just weigh your options and what's going to hurt you and the other person the least amount, which usually means having the conversation earlier rather than later.
Yeah. But I don't want to.
Well, I promise you, it sucks in the moment. Anytime it's a friend situation, your friend cares about you to an extent that they're going to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So, like, that's another thing. Like, you shouldn't feel nervous about bringing it up because that person is going to be honest with you about how they feel. And in general, like, I don't think any friend is typically going to do anything purposely to hurt you. Like, they're going to want to have that discussion as well. We're speaking to the general audience. So, although it's like, it was one of the hardest conversations I had to have.
Yeah.
But, like, you don't want to get, like, in it and then feel the feelings. Yeah. And then be like, yeah. Does that help?
Yeah, I mean, it was a general question. Like,
you were saying that you didn't know, so I'm just saying.
Oh, well, yeah.
Do you feel prepared now if it were needed?
Yeah, I mean, like, I consciously already know these things.
Yeah.
I just have to actually get myself.
Put them into practice.
Do it.
Yeah. Do you feel like you could do that now successfully?
I think so. Honestly, I think I can now.
Yeah.
If you asked me like 2 years ago, no.
Yeah, but you've grown so much.
That's the thing.
I do think I don't need to be on Molly to have this conversation now.
For sure.
Yeah.
That's not a thing we suggest.
No.
It was a one-time thing. I was with someone that I was trusted, and it was at home, so it wasn't like a wild
fine.
thing.
Yeah.
It was like a trust, just to make it clear what was going on.
This is gonna sound really dumb, but
Yeah.
what's Molly?
It's kind of like ecstasy.
Okay, that's what I thought, but I just wanted to clarify and make sure I knew what
She's
it
not a
was.
drug user. She's not down with the drugs.
I've done the weed and then a Molly once.
I've done the weed. But yeah, I think I could have that conversation now. I don't see why not. I'm definitely more mature than I used to be.
Yeah.
Going into a relationship now, I'd want a long-term relationship.
Oh.
I'm so proud of you.
It's like a little emotion.
Oh my god.
But that's why I haven't been dating.
She's like, yeah, I want a long-term.
I want a long-term relationship, but I want to be ready for one. Cuz like I've fucked up a bunch.
You want to make sure you're emotionally ready.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've fucked up a bunch and I've like hurt a lot of my past partners, so now I'm not going to do that again.
Wow.
Yeah.
So the next time I get in a relationship, I'm actually going to like want to
blossoming.
try. She's blooming.
So proud.
Yeah. So I'm being good. I'm not dating right now. But I will hopefully when the panorama ends. You know.
Yeah.
It's hard to date right now.
I'm glad I was in a relationship before.
I was in a relationship before.
Yeah.
Not all relationships withstood the
No.
COVID experience, but
It's a good test though.
it is.
Do you have any more questions?
I have one more, but we have one more story.
Yeah.
One more
So
story.
this is a failed hookup guy.
Oh, I've heard this story. I think I've heard this story.
Have you?
I heard it in the car on the way back from camping, didn't I?
I have.
Oh, quite possibly.
Yeah.
So failed hookup guy. So this is straight after this is like the first person that this is the very beginning of my 2019 summer dating, whatever.
Okay.
I really at that point just wanted to hook up with someone as well. I was pretty open. I was like, I want to go on dates, but like at that point, I was like, kind of just wanted to hook up with someone.
Do you mind me asking how long it had been
What?
since you had hooked up with someone?
No, I mean, like, it hadn't been that long.
Okay.
But it was just, like, it was coming out of a thing. And then I think I was just, like, probably not. It was just kind of.
Bro, I need to get laid.
Yeah, I just.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, but first of all, it's so fucking hard. It's so much harder to get laid than I was expecting. I tried so hard to have, at least one hookup that entire summer. Not one. I kept getting
Are your standards
catfished.
high?
No, I got catfished. I kept trying. I got someone into my house, and then it's failed. So matched with this guy. I was literally at this thing for work. It's like a little, like, you go to the movie theater and they like do like a little demonstration of like what's coming up in the year and whatever, and I was like just sitting in the thing, like getting paid to swipe on Tinder, because I was just sitting in the theater like swiping, not paying attention to the presentation. And my friends beside me, and then we're like, oh, let's match with this guy. First of all, I feel like some people are gonna find this cringy, but I thought this was kind of a funny response, and I was also, feeling it. And so my thing on my bio is, well, it's pretty much the same now, slightly different, but it's if you have a dog, your chances are high. This guy said, I don't have a dog, but I like doggy style.
There it is.
I was like, you know what? That's not great, but I thought it was funny. So I was like, I started talking to him, and then
But do you like doggy style?
I mean, yeah.
Who doesn't?
So,
Let's start there.
so
I'm just clarifying. Somebody who didn't like doggy style would have been like,
yeah, I probably would have been like, no, I'm gonna swipe left on you then, or like unmatch. But so we were talking, and like I was gonna have the house to myself like the next day or the day after or whatever, and so pretty much we arranged for him to come over. We were talking on Snapchat. I sent not like a picture, but I sent like, I think I was still clothed, but it was more like, here's my ass kind of photo. And
She's getting ready.
and he was talking himself up. He was like saying like, we're gonna go like 3 times. He said he had a big dick. I'm like, bro, I'm like, you're talking yourself up so much. I said a couple other things. He was like, he's like, we'll like watch a bit of Netflix and chill first, and then like we'll get into it. He's like, you can choose the show. I'm like, all right. I'm like, okay, sure. Like I was thinking he was just gonna come over and hook up, but like, sure, we can watch some Netflix first, and that's can transition, whatever. I'm gonna remember more of that conversation as I tell the story. But so he comes over, and I think I worked earlier, but he was also had worked earlier, and he came in, and I had cleaned my room. I like had like a nice, like, I had the bedside table lamp on, but not the full light, so it wasn't too bright.
ooh, setting the mood.
Yeah, I was just like, I don't want it to be dark. Like, it's still light out, but like it just needs some light in here. And then I like had Netflix set up because he said that he was watching Netflix.
Yeah.
And then he comes in. He was like, we say hello. He's like, so how, like, how's your day? I think I said something like, oh, it wasn't too hard, or like it was a bit hard or something. It's like, he says, well, I've got something hard for you. And I was like, should have fucking kicked him out then. He should have been out of my door. But you know what? I was horny, so I was like, whatever. And then he starts making out with me there. I'm like, okay, so we're not doing Netflix, which is like fine, but like, why the fuck was that part of the conversation then? So we start making out there. Then we kind of like make our way upstairs. First of all, I started taking clothes off. I started undoing his jeans, and then there was like a tie in the jeans, which was a bit confusing.
What?
There was like the button and the zipper, and then inside there was also like a string, like a tie, like it was tied.
Like the shoelace?
Like
Oh my god.
So I was like, okay. He also was commando. I'm like, okay.
Wait, was he wearing jeans?
Yeah.
Oh. She wants that.
And so I was like, whatever, it's just still going. We're like making out. When we on the Snapchat conversation, he had asked about if I gave head or whatever. I think he asked about deep throating. I can't remember. Yes, something. And I was like, I think it was something about head, and I was like, we'll wait and see. But anyways, because I'm like, I'm not gonna answer this right now.
Yeah.
I don't like care. You're having to hook up. Well, whatever. So, we make out a bit. He's taking off his clothes. He ends up sitting on his end of my bed. And, he's basically, he didn't just do this, but basically was like, blowjob. he was like, so, but he alluded to the conversation. He was like, so about what you said or like what you meant. And so I was like, okay, so whatever. I'm like, sure. Like I wasn't not going to give him a blowjob, but also it was just the way it was just all transpiring. I'm like, I don't care. This doesn't have to be a perfect hookup.
You're like, I just want to get laid.
Yeah. And so I'm giving him a blowjob, and then all of a sudden he shoves my head down onto his dick, and I like pop up, and I'm like, I just he looks at me, he's like, what, too big? And I'm just like frozen. I'm like, I just kind of like, but in reality it was just like very shocking. I'm like, I know that's a thing. Like if I was with but if it was with someone that I trusted, then like I wouldn't be as opposed to it. But this was like a first hookup, and I was just, and it's not like he was long. Like it wasn't like a short dick or anything. It had some length to it.
Annie would have thrown up.
I would have thrown up.
So he did that, and then I'm like, okay, whatever. And I get back to it, and and then all of a sudden he's like, oh, by the way, it's been a long day. Like he had work out, so I think he said he might not last very long or something. He alluded to. I'm like, so I popped back up again. I was like, okay, it's whatever. You can make up to me in other ways. And I go, and then he looks me in the face and be like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, I don't have to be the only person going down. Yeah. He's like, oh, well, like, I don't really do that. Or like, we said something, or he's like, when I don't have a lot of practice because like the girls I've been with, they've said they haven't liked this, so I haven't done it with them.
No girl's ever said that.
I'm like, I don't really care if he wanted to or not. It's just like the series of events where he like initially was like it was like blowjob, then he was like shoving my head down, and then all of that and then being it's like a lot of red flags. It's just so many things. I'm like, again, like I don't expect a guy to go down on me. Like if he doesn't want to, he doesn't want to. I'm not gonna be mad about it. Like everyone has their preferences, but it was just like so many things just going. I'm like, okay, and then I go back to blowing him a bit longer, but then we moved back. He was like, do you want to fuck now, essentially? So we moved to my bed, where he proceeds to finger me for about a minute. Oh god. And then he gets on top of me, and then he's inside, and then he falls out. And it's like, it's fine. It's like, whatever. Okay, let's try again. Like, we're struggling a bit. He's still struggling to get back in or whatever. We did have a condom, by the way. I skipped the part. He did bring a condom. Okay. We were being safe. I will include that.
He slipped out how?
Like, he just, I don't know. He couldn't stay in. I don't really know. We tried different. I was like, okay, let's try.
Hard though.
Yeah, honestly, it happened so fast. Like in the moment, I'm like, yeah, he's hard. Like it doesn't. Nothing seems to have happened. Yeah. He was hard, and then I don't know. Then he couldn't get it back in. We couldn't. We were struggling.
He said no.
Well, no. Like I was fine. Or like we would get it in and they'd fall out. I'm like, I don't know what's happening. And then we tried multiple positions. Like we tried switching up. And like, oh, let's try this. Let's try this. And then finally, I'm like, oh, what if I go on top? I was like, he's like, and he's like, you know what? No, I think he was like, I'm not hard. Like it's done for him. Like he's not hard anymore. And I'm like, okay, well, like. Because I'm like, shit happens. Yeah. I'm not mad about this. I'm problem solving. I'm like, whatever. We can still make this happen. Yeah. So I'm like, do you want to like just chill downstairs for like a half hour, watch some Netflix, and then like try again? He's like, you know what? I think I'm just gonna go. And I'm like, oh my okay. Gosh. And so he just starts gathering his stuff, putting his clothes back on. He's like, he makes comment being like, you're gonna tell all your friends this, and I'm like, obviously I did, but I'm like, not because of what happened. It's because you're leaving. That's and like giving. I'm like everything transpiring.
He could have redeemed himself.
He could have redeemed. Like we could have. I was problem solving. I wasn't mad. I was again like, shit happens. I'm not judging. I don't really know what was going on. I could have. I just don't know. It was just. And then he just went down the stairs, and then as he's going down the stairs, he's like, it's not even that big. Like he yells to himself, like trying to, like, I'm clearly frustrated, I guess. I'm like, yeah, I mean, like, it's not small, but like, I guess, I don't know. It was just
average.
like, also, but this is the guy who was talking up his big dick on the Snapchat beforehand. So I'm like, then what? Why? If you don't even think it's that big, why were you saying, like, building it up? But also, it was so
That's so
bizarre.
weird.
And then, yeah,
Why would you scream that, Dad?
he
in
left.
Somebody's living room too.
I know. He was just literally walking down the stairs, like, it's not even that big. I'm like, I don't know what the issue is. I thought me going on top would have solved problems.
Yeah.
Obviously, he wasn't hard at that moment. We could have redeemed it. We just needed like a bit of time.
Yeah.
I was so patient. And then he's like, nah, I'm just going to go. Clearly, he was embarrassed, which I
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah.
But like,
It was just like, bro, we could have still
shit
made it happen.
happens. Yeah.
It is what it is. I was wondering if he was like one of his first times or like if he'd even done it before. Like someone asked, was like, maybe it was his first time. Like maybe
it
I
was.
thinking.
like who knows? Like it was. I like again. I don't care.
Yeah.
It's
Or
just
maybe he hadn't had sex in like a really long time or something, and
yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Poor
just
guy.
the fact that he just was like, yeah, no, I'm gonna go. Again, I get he was embarrassed, but it was just so
did you talk
bizarre.
after that?
no. We
No.
never talked again. He left, and then
Wow.
that was the last I saw. I heard from him. Yeah.
Wow.
And it was just like leading up. It was like so much. It was like focus. He's like, oh yeah, give me a blowjob. Oh, I'm gonna shove your head down. Like, oh, and then he fingered me for about 1 minute. And then he was going like, oh, that's good for you.
Yeah.
I'm like, thanks so much.
Thank you. That did nothing.
Thank you so much. But yeah. Yeah, so it was like mixed feelings about it because again, I'm like, shit happens. Not gonna completely judge him, especially if it was
Yeah.
like his first time or whatever. But also,
No, but I feel like
could have
you-
been handled so
you
much better.
handled the situation very well considering. Like,
Yeah.
how old were you at the time?
2019, so
Okay.
24.
Okay, yeah. So you were like our age. Yeah, the age we are now. But yeah, like I don't know, like that I feel like there are some girls who would not have handled that as well as you did.
Right.
Even just being like I know some girls who would have literally been like, all right, you can leave now. Like, for straight up, I know
Yeah.
some girls who would have been like, all right.
It's over.
Yeah.
Please get out of my house.
Yeah, but like I feel like you were so nice about it and everything. And you were the one really trying. To be honest, if a man first date shoves my head down, you're leaving. You're not staying in my house. Like
Yeah, that was a lot. I was like, what the
that's
fuck?
crossing a boundary.
Again, like I feel like it must have been a lot of new things. Like there, I
Yeah.
feel like that's
he probably saw it in porn or something.
Yeah.
And was like, you know what she would
she,
like.
she was like this.
Like,
I'm like,
Yeah.
Again, if it was someone I trusted and like we had that boundary set and like knew what
Yeah.
each other's
Yeah.
limits were, then like sure, whatever, you
Sure,
can put some
yeah.
pressure, but not some random ass dude completely
Yeah.
shoving my head down.
no, that would have been. I would have had a trauma response to that. Not gonna lie,
Same. I would have passed out.
I would have full on started crying. Like I would have been like,
I might have been throwing fists.
Yeah.
I would have gone into fight mode.
Yeah, like I definitely would not have handled it as well as you did. 'Cause especially like you said, like. Listen, I'm all for a little roughness here and there, okay? Like, but that's with a trusted partner who
Yeah.
knows where my boundaries are. If you don't know that, I know a girl who, she was sleeping with this guy, and he just started choking her out of nowhere. Didn't talk to her about it beforehand, nothing. And she goes, let's be honest, like she goes, I don't mind a little bit of choking, but I thought, I saw my life flash before my eyes. She was like, I thought this man was gonna kill me. Like, she's like, I thought, like, because she's like, we hadn't talked about it at all. Like, he just went in choking her, and he
Yeah.
was, and she was like, she's like, although like sometimes in like a situation like that, it can be awkward to be like, hey, can I choke you? She's like, it's still way better than you just choking me and me thinking I'm dying.
Yeah.
Like, literally, I thought I was gonna die. If you want my pussy to
We
be
need a warning.
so far from wet, just do something that makes you think I'm gonna die. Oh, I do. There is a part of me that feels bad for him.
Yeah, like I do. It's just was
But-
just like I was like, I can't even believe this is happening. And that was the only time I ever tried to have a Tinder date over. And then every time after that I tried, it was like something went wrong. Either they were, they was like, oh no, you're a catfish,
Honestly,
so you don't want to
Bumble's
meet up.
where it's at.
Bumble, I was on for like 48 hours and then deleted the app because no one matched with me, including on the friend side. I was like, this is the most devastating thing. I had one guy match with me. I had one guy match with me, and then he never like responded, and so I was like, no. Okay. I could have given it more time. I would think it was just in the headspace where I couldn't handle that much. Like,
true. I mean, to be fair, like when you go on a dating app, as a female at least,
you get a lot of messages.
So like, I mean, like when I ended my relationship, I didn't have any apps.
Yeah.
When I got apps and saw how many messages I was getting, it's quite an ego boost.
I use it sometimes for external validation. Sometimes on my low days.
Like if you there's usually somebody on there. So then to go on and not get any matches, it's kind of like, fuck this shit. Like, I'm deleting this.
Definitely wait more than 48 hours. Because it takes a while for you to get in the area for people.
Yeah.
Yeah. This was a few years ago.
Yeah. It's a great app, though. The men are hotter as well. Oh. And they're taller.
I struggle in Burlington. I cannot find someone.
There's nothing
anytime. I've never really been with anyone within, like, a reasonable distance. Except for, like, the person I was, like, had the recent hookup situation with.
Yeah.
He was in Burlington, which was lucky. But my ex, that was like a 45-minute drive. The person before him, that was at least a half hour, but with traffic could be 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Before that was Guelph, so that was also like 45 minutes to an hour drive.
Yeah.
I have zero luck finding anyone of interest in my vicinity. Well, like I've one person that has happened with.
Yeah.
And that was great while it was going on. But
yeah,
it's
hard
rough
dating
over there.
The GAT as well.
GTA.
GAT. The GAT.
That's what I was gonna say.
It is hard. It's hard in Toronto alone.
I think I'm just destined to be in long distance relationships.
Yeah. Maybe you thrive in long. I mean, to be fair,
do I? Because nothing's worked out.
45 minutes isn't that long. To be fair,
but if you're like wanting to see this person regularly and like trying to work with the schedule. Anyways, those are all my stories.
Where's that music coming from?
Honestly, who knows? There's a lot going on. My last question was, have you ever ghosted someone? I know you have. The little giggle over here.
I think I have. I might have and like just not realized it, or like if I have, it was like really, really early on. Like just started talking on Tinder and I was like, no, I'm not about it. Like barely a conversation. Mm-hmm. But even then I'm like, I usually try to just like drift the conversation out rather than like straight up not talking.
Yeah.
But even now, like now I'm definitely will say something if I'm not interested.
Yeah.
But I hate ghosting so much. Like I can't think of a specific time I have ghosted anyone. It's quite possible I have and just forgot. Mm-hmm. But I think ghosting's the worst.
Like if you can't think of it, then you probably haven't done it.
Yeah. Like it's just it causes so many issues. Like it causes so many trust issues, anxiety. Like that's part of the reason why I delete the apps a lot, like in between, like I go off and on them because it's so stressful. Like I was talking to someone and we were talking about starting a virtual date, and then we were talking about work and he asked me what my job was and I told him, and then I never heard from him again. And this was just after we talked about having a date, and I'm like, I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
But okay. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I hate
ghosting. Great ghosting people. It's pretty shitty. And I've done it. I don't do it anymore. But I have.
Hi, my name's Annie.
Hi. I'm a ghoster. But I don't do it anymore.
That's good.
Definitely used to, though.
Did anybody call you out on it?
Yeah. Multiple times.
Okay.
But it is what it is.
I mean, I'm glad you don't do it anymore.
Yeah, I don't do it anymore. It's shitty. Now I'm better at communication. I don't just like, see ya. In general.
Yeah.
In general, I am. Yeah.
Good for you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's definitely a lot better.
Yeah.
But yeah, shitty thing to do. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Just say
it's not worth it.
Not interested.
Yeah.
Like, saying anything is better than just leaving someone wondering what the fuck happened.
Yeah. That's how I
Even
feel.
lie. If you don't want to tell the truth, just say
lie.
a fucking lie.
Because
But
at
just
least
end
you
it.
said something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think, like, I don't know. To me, it's not that hard just to be like, hey, this isn't going the way I thought it would go. And
Yeah.
I'm sorry about that, but it's just not working. I don't want to pursue this any longer.
Yeah.
It's the same with cheating. If you're not happy in a relationship, just fucking tell that person and get the fuck out of it. Don't cheat on that person.
Don't start seeing someone else while
Yeah.
you're still
Don't
have
do anything with
No.
anybody else. Have you done that too? Oh my God.
I've already told you I have. We don't have to bring it up. I'm not that person anymore.
I thought we talked about it and we said you had it.
No, we did, and I have dabbled in other stuff when I was in a relationship. Because I didn't think it was a relationship and he thought it was a relationship. So then I was seeing someone else.
Yeah, and then Annie goes, so that's not cheating, right? And I was like, well, did you discuss that you were going to be exclusively with just you two?
And I said, yeah.
So I'm like, so yes, that's cheating. If you hadn't had that conversation, full on, you're not cheating. Yeah. Because, like...
Yeah.
Like, how are you supposed to know that you're only supposed to be with that one person? But if you had the conversation,
This was 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Just be honest and end the relationship if
Yeah.
you find someone else.
Yeah, I'm not really sure how you thought that it wasn't a relationship if you had the conversation, but
Like I said, I was a walking red flag. And I can own up to that.
at least you're
Yeah.
self-aware.
Yeah.
Now you've changed.
Yeah,
grown.
I'm not that toxic person anymore. No one's gonna want to date me.
No, that's not true.
Everyone's hearing how great you've grown. Like
I'm
you
not. Yeah.
Listen. Everybody needs to have their hoe phase, okay? Mine didn't really happen, but
Yeah, that's true.
I tried. It
you
didn't-
essentially had one. It was just more dating than like.
Yeah.
I call it a hoe phase, but that doesn't mean you have to be hooking up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
Like, it really just is like putting yourself out there and exploring shit. I didn't do that, but that's because.
You're a wholesome Christian guy.
That's not why. I think I just happened to fall into something good at the time. So
Yeah.
lucky, I think.
Yeah, go fuck yourself.
everybody says that. Everybody says that. Well, that looks like it's all we got for today. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Is there anything you want to plug before we sign off?
I don't have if you want to follow me on Instagram, I guess.
Okay.
It's Janna Banana 13, but banana is spelled BANNANA because it's like Janna because there's two N's in Janna, so Janna Banana 13.
Yes.
That's
yeah.
my Insta. So if you want to follow me, you can see pictures of my dogs. So it's worth it. My dog. It's worth it to see Sophie.
That's true. You have.
Yeah.
I could have swore there was another picture of a different dog on there.
Well, I have my old pups. There's from a while ago. I have a picture of my old
Okay.
puppy, my old
Yeah.
dogs, my
Yeah.
pups who are like 13.
Aw.
They're not puppies, but yeah.
Yeah.
So they're pretty precious.
So follow Janna on Instagram. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, rate, all that. We're pretty much everywhere at Hi Friends Pod.
Friends company.
Yeah, go ahead.
You guys should all go follow at Linus and Co. They sell really cool dog stuff, including like a dog sweater I'm wearing one right now. You can't see it, but it's dog mom sweater. They have dog dad, cat mom, cat dog. They have cat bandanas, buttons. They do like portraits of your dogs. So cool.
They do a
at
lot of cute
Linus
things.
and Co. So go check them out.
Yeah. And then you can follow me at itsmeshay.xx and at shayfit.xx. I think that's what it is. And you can follow Annie
At Annie X Muir.
all on Instagram. Do you want to plug your Twitter?
No.
Don't follow us on Twitter. If at this point our Twitter is out, it's also probably going to be at Hi Friends Pod. It's a work in progress if it's not out yet. But yeah, we're still the same everywhere else. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me. It was so much fun.
Yeah, I love hearing these stories. I have heard a couple of them before, but they're just fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
So I love them. But we wanted to do like a dating story episode, but like we didn't really have any stories, so
happy to help. You know,
you're gonna have to go on more dates to come back for a part 2.
Yeah,
I'm trying.
I think people will like this
I'm
one.
trying.
I think the girls will like this one.
I think so too. The girls in Rohit.
Hi, Rohit.
But yeah, so hope you enjoyed this episode. This is like our 3rd episode back. I think it's like about our 3rd episode back. So we're happy to be back. And we're happy to be back making content. We've got some really exciting things coming up in the next like few months, so keep an eye on our Instagram. That's where you're going to see everything, and then hopefully Twitter. We're also going to be on TikTok at Hi Friends Pod as well. At Hi Friends Pod as well. So follow us on both of those too. And we'll see you next Wednesday.
Bye, friends.
Bye.
Bye.
Down, yeah. I've been feeling so down, yeah. Can you